What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Jacob and Me podcast show, where me and my friend Jacob here talk about in and everything. I don't know what I was gonna say right there, but in and everything, everything and in
What?
on
Words.
video games, movies, comic books, nerd out stuff that we like jerking off to. But we also get into sports in the middle of it and some politics, news, and history at the end. I'm Richard Radio.
I am Jacob Bullard.
I sorry for butchering that intro, Jacob.
It's okay.
It's okay. All right. I had a weird thought in my head the other day.
Never heard that before.
You know, like they'll have like those really nice, like I saw two nice dogs walk by crossing the street. And, like, I thought of, like, the Westminster Dog Show. And I thought, like, you know, people have weird fetishes. I was like, what happens if people, like, try to, like, pay those people off that in the Westminster Dog Show to, like, have sexual relations with the dogs?
This is what you're thinking about.
That was what I was thinking about. Like, in my head, I was like, man, like, there's a lot of rich people, though. There's a lot of rich people that, like, doing weird stuff, too.
I'm pretty sure that that's not happening.
But has it happened in the past?
Yes, probably at least once.
Okay. That's all I wanted to hear out of your mouth. Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it probably has.
Sorry, poor dogs. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about this whole episode of Jacob and Me podcast. Our show. But before we get into the extra topics, our Game Pass game of the week is Shadow Complex Remastered. I think there's another thing.
Your Game Pass game of the week.
Yeah, my Game Pass game of the week. Very good game. I don't know. I think I'm maybe in the middle of it. Probably. I love it so far. I'm mixing it in with a little bit of Mega Man. A little bit. I just opened up Humans Fall Flat. For a little bit, I played that. It's a nice little puzzle, weird physics game. And then I also play a little bit of PUBG in there as well. But it's all really waiting for FIFA coming out. I'm not yet ready for Madden. Maybe I might. Once I get raged out of FIFA, then I'll probably go back to Madden or get Madden.
What are you talking about? FIFA is the most relaxing game to play in the whole wide world.
We're gonna talk about FIFA in this FIFA 19 stuff.
Well, yeah.
But what are you playing lately? Because there's a game that just came out recently. You're playing.
My Games Pass game of the week would have been Mad Max, but they took it off Games Pass, so I can't finish it.
Oh, dust.
So I'm sad. Now it's just there installed. But then I try to open it. It's like, do you own this game? It's like, well, I did. And now I don't, apparently. So
dust.
It made me sad. I have been playing We Happy Few. I don't know really why I was putting it off. I guess why I really was I can never stop playing the show, and I had the FIFA 19 beta.
FIFA 19 beta.
Got in on the FIFA 19 Ultimate Team. Specifically the Ultimate Team. Ultimate Team and Kickoff. Most people that got them that I saw, it was like career mode or pro clubs in Kickoff or career mode Kickoff. I had an Ultimate Team in Kickoff.
Okay.
It's like they were all the beta codes that they gave out are different.
Oh, okay.
Not everyone gets the same beta.
Well, they're like, you play a lot of Ultimate Team, so we're going to give you this.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But regardless.
So I play a lot of that. But yeah, so I'm playing We Happy Few.
We Happy Few. You like it?
So far, so good. It's like has a BioShock feel and
look.
Yeah,
right?
and feel.
Feel okay.
Bit. It's pretty dark. I didn't know this going in. I had it I had the game preview for a really long time. They changed the intro, but it has something about the story kind of revolves around World War II.
Okay. Because you said it was in like the 1940s.
Yeah, I don't know that where I am right now is the 1940s, but so the game opens with your job is a redactor, so you keep getting these newspaper clippings, and you have to like cover up. You literally get to decide like what can be sent out to the people and what is redacted and like covered. So it's like all these stories, and like I actually spent the time to like read some of them.
Okay.
And so like a lot of them center kind of around World War II or like that time period, like mid to late 40s. And then like there's the whole thing with like the happy. Or the joy, not the happy. The joy is like medication that you take
That's
to
why
like help you
in
forget. Yes, because you have no memories when you take the joy.
Nice.
So
I like it.
The story could go any one of.
So this game promotes using drugs.
Sure. Oh no, I wouldn't say promote. I wouldn't say promote because
Penis
like
slap.
taking the joy is like what all the bad guys do.
Okay. All
But
right.
you have like literally 30 seconds in the game, you have the option of to take the joy or not.
Okay.
I kind of want to go back and like, so I didn't take it, but I'm curious to see if the intro ends up any differently if you do take it.
You'll have an update for us next week then, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll report back.
All right. Let's move to the Jacob and me real portion of the show,
Yeah.
and that will be starting off with QuakeCon,
QuakeCon.
which
Bethesda
did happen this past week. Yeah, BethesdaCon.
It was the 9th through the 12th, I think,
So, like,
of August.
almost?
Last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Not this past weekend, the last weekend before this.
Yeah.
But we haven't, like, our schedule's weird, so we are just covering it now. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of gameplay, just not trailers, but gameplay.
Like demos.
Demos.
Yeah.
Fallout 76, Rage 2, Doom Eternal, and then there was a QuakeCon. Oh no, Quake Champions. Like
Quake Champions,
being
Elder
permanently-
Scrolls Online,
Oh, Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
The DLC coming out
Yeah.
for, was it Witch Hunter or something like
Wolf Hunter.
that? Wolf Hunter. Not that far off. Anyway,
You know, witches, wolves.
it's all fantasy stuff.
Same thing.
Okay. Do you want to do the biggest one, or do you want to do the quick ones, get those ones out of the way, and talk about the bigger ones?
Let's just do the quick ones.
Okay.
So we'll start with Elder Scrolls Online, Wolf Hunter, new DLC. Have you ever played this? I think
I played.
it might be on Games Pass now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's on Games Pass. I played it when it originally came out, and that's when like a lot of people had a lot of complaints. Since then, though, I think about like 6 months after it came out, a lot of changes happened to where a lot of people do like it and are on it. I'm not too sure if that's like replaced like the WoW crowd, but it seems like a lot of people.
Nothing will ever replace the WoW
I
crowd.
don't know. But yeah, I didn't like it originally. I thought it was just it's something that we didn't really need.
Yeah,
or
okay.
I didn't want.
I've never really been into MMORPG sort of things, but it seems to be at least well supported. Like they're putting out content pretty regularly. So the next expansion is titled Wolf Hunter. It releases August 13th, which has actually already passed at time of recording, on PC. So it is already available if you are playing on PC. And August 28th if you have it on, I guess it's not on Switch. So if you have it on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, it will release or update on the 28th of August.
It shall. Okay.
Quake Champions, another really quick one. You played this.
I played it
as
when-
part of the free.
Well,
to play.
E3 they announced like, oh, it's going to be a limited time for free, and I downloaded it. I played it with Brandon and played with some of his friends. I liked it for a little bit. It's just like too much going on for me. And you kind of have to dedicate yourself in a way to unlock characters, unless you want to pay the extra amount to get them. And I was like, there's no point in spending money.
What sort
on
of
it.
thing would you like? What game is like closest to it? Because like I've never played Quake. or
Oh, Doom and like Quake, I feel like are the same exact game, like in speed, like
Okay.
those shooters kind of speed. But like if you play like Halo or Counter-Strike, kind of has a similar kind of feel where you're less a little bit mobile than when you play like a Call of Duty kind of shooter or a Battlefield kind of shooter.
Okay.
But you're moving a lot faster. You kind of have to have like a good. I feel like I don't have the best connection while playing multiplayer games, but it's definitely a game where you need to like be more precise and be able to have a good connection. That helps you out a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to figure out hit spots and stuff to hit different characters to find out which weapons I like. We'll go into it when we get into the Doom, which I think is next that we're gonna talk about.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or is it Rage?
No, we can go do it next. It doesn't matter.
Well, let's go into Doom. Like my problems with this game and Doom is like the weapon selection is like too broad or too big.
Varied.
Yeah, there's too many. I feel
Okay.
like. Well, in Quake in general, like you don't get that much ammo regardless. So like you kind of like your 100 shots actually go like fast. It's gone. So you kind of be precise, but you kind of die. You have to like die in a way. You kind of always die.
Okay.
Kind of like that kind of shooter in a way where you're just dying and respawning, but you're trying to get as many whatever kill streaks, I guess. I mean, I died a lot, obviously, because I'm not very good. And then I started to get the hang of it. But my problem with that and Doom, like when Doom, the original E3 trailer came out where the guy was just like popping out weapons left and right, I'm like, what is the point of this? I felt like it was just like you said, like it's like a horde mode. and I was like, it's a horde mode, but they threw a story in, and like that's my gripe with Doom is like, there's no like real thing to back it up. I get like all the older players and some of the players that got through it through the years and enjoy it, but I'm like, for me, I'm like, there's nothing there that really like excites me. The game looks cool. The helmet, like when the guy you said like, oh, there's a clean helmet.
The helmet looks sick, yeah, and like at that moment in the trailer anyway, like the graphics like look pretty good.
Yeah, and like I just don't know what's going on in the story. It doesn't compare to like a game that's very similar or like in similar styles. Like it makes less sense to play. I'd rather play like a Halo, but Halo's not coming out until like another couple years.
At least, yeah, probably. So real quick, I guess before we like completely bury the lead, the Quake Champions, if you played it during the free weekend and enjoyed it,
sorry,
good news for you guys because it's going to be permanently free to play. I'm not sure.
You downloaded it, right?
I downloaded it. I've never played it.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe now I will try it out. Because I thought it's just been sitting on my computer like expired now for the last couple of weeks, but apparently it's going to be free to play permanently. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of games that end up free to play don't last very long. So
yeah, my gripe with it is like I think there's better shooters out there that you can play. I think the best shooter right now is probably Siege, Rainbow Six Siege on the PC and the consoles. I think it's like it has the best replay value and like it's so much more dynamic than any other shooter out there. I feel for me.
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple gripes with Rainbow Six, but we won't get into that right now.
You have like rage gripes, but yeah.
Sometimes I do. So Doom Eternal. There was like we were talking. There was a good probably 15. I think the trailer that we watched wasn't everything. I think there was probably a good 15 to 20 minutes of gameplay, and they had like a panel for a bunch of not a bunch, but some information on Doom Eternal. The biggest probably at least gameplay point that came out of this was that they're introducing a invasion style multiplayer element, PvP element to Doom. So like in Dark Souls, for example, how you can invade someone else's world.
Yeah.
In Doom Eternal, you're going to be able to play as a demon and try to kill the other dude as a space marine. So you can invade their game as a demon. And
what is this game about? Next year?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's 2019. Probably like quarter 1, quarter 2.
We might have to play this game. We might. Or one of us might have to.
Why?
I don't know. We'll tell Anthony get it.
Let it die. Well, he was probably already just going to get it. He
okay.
texted me.
We're good.
He texted me
We're
the
good.
week.
We're going to get an opinion on this at least.
The week of QuakeCon, he was like, oh, man, Rage 2 and Doom Eternal look sick.
That's his thing though. Like he's so hyped up on.
I'm hyped on Rage, but
it looks nice. Don't get me wrong. The game looks good, but like there's so I don't know what's going on. I played the first one and I was like, I have no idea what's going on.
I don't know. I've never played Doom, so I'm not sure.
So yeah, that's like my problem. Like there's too much going on. I don't like the weapon layout where you have like 1,000 weapons you can choose from. If it feels too easy. It looks. I mean, obviously it's on easy mode, but it looks like. Why are you playing like? You're playing like on like it's like Resident Evil 5 when you unlock the rocket launchers and like it's all you're doing, just shooting rocket launchers at everything and it blows up. It looks cool, like action movie, but no. Pass.
Is that what action movies sound like?
yeah, like Fast and Furious, but we'll.
Okay. Fair enough. That gets us to Rage 2. There was a new gameplay trailer released. We were talking about this before. We started recording about games that we thought were very similar.
I came up with so many games that you said you're like you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it.
So obviously these are the same people that made the Mad Max game that came out a few years ago.
Yes.
So it definitely has that Mad Max feel. It has that Borderlands kind of feel, but not the art style in any way.
Yeah.
And like gore wise, kind of like Gears of War ish. Sort of thing.
I would say it's close to Doom.
Or Doom, yeah. But what stuck out to me in this trailer when it started to show some of the abilities and like people floating in the air in slow motion, not coming to you yet. Here, I'll give you one more hint. I told you that this might give it away. When this game released, it came with a demo for another very popular game. That's why I thought you might have got it. Is not because of the game itself, but there was a demo packed into it. You got a code for the demo if you bought this game.
I thought you were talking about Bulletstorm.
There you go. I told you forgot that this game existed.
Oh my god!
So this
game,
game,
I remember they did do. Oh,
this game to me feels like Mad Max and Bulletstorm had a child. Because it's like you're launching people up in the air and they're like floating kind of in slow motion, and like he's shooting them while they're up in the air. They're like slamming the ground. People
were
are
you
flying
getting
everywhere.
like on the screen? I don't remember if was it like saying like combo kills or something like that.
Well, yeah, in Bulletstorm it's like
no, but did it say that in for Rage?
in Rage.
We have to look at it again. If it is, then I'm like, oh
I don't
god.
think so, but it had that vibe to me.
That
it
was like my gripe with Bulletstorm was like, oh yeah, you can get the more kills you get, the better the thing looks, and it says like you're awesome. I'm like, no, that's stupid. Please
yeah, so
don't.
to me, this game is looking more and more like just like they don't care anymore. It's just like complete chaos. The original, I'm really excited for Rage 2, but I was actually a little bit turned off by this because like I don't want this to be Bulletstorm 2 sort of like vibes, and that was what I was getting from it because the original Rage, while you did have some abilities and such, it felt much more like Borderlands but a survival game. Kind of thing. Like you were in like the middle of a wasteland. There were like little groups of like factions of bandits basically. And
was
you
the
had to, like,
story
rage.
in Rage 1 decent?
It was okay. It wasn't particularly memorable.
This is not going to be story driven at all.
Probably not too much. It was basically all just like you were like doing jobs for like different factions and stuff like that.
You just
in,
picked
like,
whichever
this,
one
like,
you wanted.
Post-apocalyptic world sort of thing.
Okay.
So it seems like they're taking like a chaotic turn anyway, where it's just like blow stuff up.
Yeah, people
get crazy kills with
their
people
butts
and like
flipping you off.
And another thing is the abilities that they did show. There was like the ground pound thing, and people go flying. They did have this weird system for the boomerang looking. I forget what they're called. The like 3-winged like boomerang things.
Yeah,
where it was showing him what the trajectory. He was almost like aiming the curve of the boomerang because it had that red line on the screen where it was showing him the trajectory of the. Because it used to be it just like basically went where you were looking, and if you had like a low level one, it would just hit him and break but kill him. And then like you eventually got to a point where you could have like an unbreakable one, and you could just like if you
slice
got hits,
dice.
like it would come
like
back to you.
I'm inside of a building, and I could still use a boomerang.
Yeah, basically. So like they got to be a little OP, but it felt. What I'm worried about is that the abilities are just like they look cool in the trailer. You're like, oh, you seen all those guys flying, and then like you're shooting them all or whatever. But like once you use it 3 times, it's gonna be like, like another thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I always call them like safe weapons. Like, oh god, I'm gonna die, and then you start spamming stuff. Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I hope it doesn't really feel like that, but it looked like it's going to.
I mean, we're in the beginning of the year. It'll be a game that I think I'm gonna be interested in. Maybe it depends because I know Crackdown. I kind of want to play. The more Josh talks about Crackdown, the more I'm like, oh, I should try this. Josh says it's good.
Yeah,
but. There's a lot of games coming out in the beginning of the year, so it's gonna be
it's pretty packed. I think
crazy.
February 22nd is like one of those days again where there's like 3 or 4 games that are all coming out, like kind of big games that are all coming out. I think it's Metro. I think there's a Mario game.
Yeah,
coming
Metro's
out
the one.
then,
Like
Metro's
my big game for beginning of next year that I want to get.
Okay,
but yeah, let's keep moving.
Anyway, last big game. Fallout 76. Todd Howard and company had I think more than an hour-long panel talking about a whole bunch of details of Fallout 76. So we cherry-picked some of the bigger ones, I guess.
Basically, one in that one shorter video of him talking directly of what was going on in the gameplay.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I'll just get this one out of the way. Fallout 76 is not going to be available on Steam. Bethesda have said basically that they want to have direct control over changes and like direct communication with the community. Instead of going through Valve and Steam. So it's not going to be available on Steam. So I'm not sure how they're going to handle. Does Bethesda doesn't have like, because like EA has Origin and stuff like, so like some other companies have other things to get their PC community going. I don't know if Bethesda has that.
I don't think they do, but I think they would be in the business of doing it because they're starting to try to be into like with the big boys with the Ubisoft, EA, and Activision. So is it Activision? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is.
But regardless, it's I think that's like the way of wanting to do it. I think that's fine because like that makes more sense. It's more direct. They're big enough. They can take the risk.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how the distribution will actually work because they're not gonna go around selling hard copies with discs in it. You have to like put the disc in and install it. Like we don't do that anymore. That's what Steam's for. But they're not going to use Steam. So anyway, it'll just be interesting to see.
I would think they would have a direct download kind of thing set up for that.
Yeah, probably.
But
then I would assume that they'll. So I guess I assume that this is going to, you know, in the middle of the fall they're going to announce like, hey, this is Bethesda software, and it's like some program to install.
I don't think you can play Fallout 3 on Steam anymore.
Okay, so yeah, maybe they are gearing up for their own sort of platform for that.
Makes sense.
So Todd Howard, and I'm blanking on the names of the other two people that were on stage with him, went into detail. Specifically, what at least the video that we watched, they covered character progression, and how the special acronym of like progression tree is going to work.
Strength, perception. I don't know what E stands for. I think it's no.
Is it endurance?
Endurance, intelligence. Wait,
I skip C. I don't know
how to spell special. C is charisma. A is agility. L is luck.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
I can't spell.
So what they announced is that those perks and that progression system is returning, but it's going to be in the form of these cards, and these cards are going to come in packs.
As you rank up,
you get them. You get one pack every 2 levels, and up until level 50. And then I'm not sure. I don't remember him saying whether or not these packs can be bought with real money.
That's my gripe.
I hope it's not.
If that is,
because then it's pay to win Fallout. So basically, these at random, you're going to be given cards that go into the various special traits. And so so say you're like level 3 in strength, you'll be able to use cards that are that level and lower, and you'll also have a kind of like a points cap. So like each card, depending on how strong it is, will be worth a certain number of points in that strength category. So you can use, say, like a 2-point strength card and a 1-point strength card, and like have those 2 perks, and like that applies for all the different things. So you're gonna basically pull at random cards for these different categories. And you had a pretty good comparison to like Battlefront 2. How you wanted to play a specific class, but you kept getting cards for other things. And so that sounds like something that could be a problem here as well.
Because like I think when I originally got Battlefront, when we played the beta, I think that's when I was like, I don't like this. Because I was like, I want to play the class that I want to play as, but I also want to invest. If I'm investing the time into this class, I should be able to get all the benefits for this class. But now I'm pulling out a pack. I'm like, oh, well, you got this pack for an officer, and I was stacking up on like a certain class. I'm like, I don't really want to play this class, but this is the only items I can use for this class.
Right, yeah.
So either I play better with this class, or I play the class I have 0 things for. For me, I actually have not beaten Fallout 4 because I was like,
dust.
I got too in and out of it, and I would just like it didn't feel like a Fallout game. But the build I like doing is a melee build, and like if I'm not able to do that in this game, I'm gonna have a problem. Like if I can't do it straight up or by myself, I'm like, oh, what's going on, guys? We have a problem here. So that's like my gripe with that. If I'm able to like, oh, you can trade cards, like I don't know. For me, I don't like this look at it so far.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And they talked about how certain cards will be beneficial if you're playing by yourself, and certain cards will be able to boost your team.
Yeah.
So depending on the situation, you're going to be able to swap these out, whether or not, who you have. There'll be, I'm sure, good combinations to have as, like, when you're in, say, a party of 4 people. Like, one person kind of focuses on this with these specific buffs and stuff like that.
I would be down if, like, you got a set of different packs. Say you spelled out, like, there's an S pack that's, like, more specific to a class.
Okay.
So, like, you open up the S pack, and that's, like, the one, like, that's kind of, like, towards the build you want to have. I'm fine with that. But, like, having, like, a general pack that just, like, okay, we'll see what you get. No. I don't like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could, in theory, I don't know what the odds will be, or I guess it's just going to be, like, 1 out of 7. Or there were 4 in the packs they showed.
And a piece of gum.
And a piece of gum, right? And the piece of gum serves a purpose as it staves off your hunger.
And there's hunger in this game, so you got to
that's right. Yeah, you have to feed yourself now. So I guess in theory, it's technically like, what if you wanted to build just like a super lucky character, luck and intelligence, you could in theory go through all 25. So you get a pack every 2 levels. So you could go through all 25 packs up until you hit level 50 and not get a card. It's pretty statistically unlikely, but in theory, that's the way this could go.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit concerning. Another one of the big things that they talked about was how combat was going to work. And he was Todd Howard was specifically asked about griefing, basically, where like people obviously are going to just want to jump in and go kill other people, even though that's not necessarily, I guess, what the game is meant for, but it's obviously possible.
There's a lot of douchebags out there.
So they're introducing a bounty system. So anytime that you kill, it's going to be, I guess,
or like
I was going to say Red Dead, yeah. Where like if you kill someone, you get a bounty on your head, and the more people you kill, the growing bounty is going to be on your head.
Yeah, because in Grand Theft Auto, you can like pay money to put a bounty on someone, but then Red Dead.
It's just if you kill people, you become wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like that.
Yeah, I liked it too. So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it, kind of a risk reward. But one thing that wasn't discussed in the video that we watched, but I read earlier, was that the combat is actually, it almost has to be a like mutual consent to enter combat. So it was a Collider article that I read
like Division
about a week ago. No, Division, no. Like, so what the way it was described on the Collider video was that if you run into someone else in Fallout, if you shoot them, it will do almost no damage, but it will attempt to initiate this kind of like combat mode. But if the other person turns you down, you can still kill him, but you're not like it's going to be hard because you're not going to be able to do that much damage. And then there are more excessive penalties if you do kill that person.
Like karma and stuff. Okay.
I guess kind of.
It's
so
like karma
if the person doesn't like agree to fight you, then there are bigger penalties for killing that person.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
I don't know. I don't know
it's
how
weird.
I don't like that. I don't think, because I would almost want there to be a zone. So like you have your base. No, I don't know how it would work. I almost wish there was just an area where if you run into someone, they're fair game. At all times.
like a looting area or something.
Kind of, yeah.
My thing is like, don't expect this game to be the best thing ever at launch. Give this game 3 to 6 months and like it'll be fine. Like whatever, they'll figure everything out. Well, actually, probably within 3 months, I would feel like whatever system or something that's going to be wrong with the game, it'll be with like the how the game works and how everything's all set up with all the rules. That'll all be ironed out by like I would say 3 months, for me.
Yeah, hopefully. Couple more smaller ones, real quick. They did confirm that they're going to at least try to have mod support.
Mod support.
Todd Howard said that it was going to be very difficult because of the online element. So I assume that what's going to end up happening is there are going to be servers where mods are allowed and servers where they're not. So they are going to try to have some mod support for some content. And he acknowledged that basically Bethesda recognizes how big that community is, especially in the Fallout world, Fallout and Skyrim and all that.
Fallout,
Elder Scrolls.
Baby.
So there will be mods to at least some extent. And then lastly, there were questions about character customization and appearance. And it's gonna, in the beginning, it'll be similar to how it is in the mainline Fallout games, but you will be able to change your character's appearance at any point in Fallout 76.
Nice.
So I don't know. We were talking again before we started recording about how neither one of us really knows what this game is supposed to be, like what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's like the point. Like,
I don't know what the goal is.
There's no story in Division, kind of, but there's no story in Destiny, kind of. I'm not expecting a story in this game. Like, I didn't expect it in Destiny, and I didn't expect it in
it kind of just seems like the more and more I hear about it, the more and more it's just like, yeah, I guess this is kind of Rust. Like, you just build your house and don't die when you go to get resources.
Rust with an actual universe around it and everything.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So I assume that there'll be missions of, I think they already talked about that a little bit, that there's going to be like sort of raids or missions to like do with your friends where you like, go kill a Deathclaw or, whatever.
I'm honestly not even expecting
camp or whatever.
I'm really expecting backlash of Fallout hardcore fans saying like, this is not a Fallout game, but it really isn't a Fallout game.
But it was never, it was never meant to be a real Fallout game. Yeah.
So
there's always those people that are out there.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so that pretty much covers it for QuakeCon.
QuakeCon!
Let us know what you guys are most excited for. Fallout comes in early November. I should have looked this up before we started. I believe it releases in early November.
Yeah, it's
Fallout
like 2 months
76. Doom Eternal is next year. Quake Champions is, you can play that right now if you want. Elder Scrolls Online is later this month if you're on consoles. Rage 2 also 2019. So yeah, let us know what you guys are most excited for. What you think of the new features for the various games that we covered.
Tell me how bad you are at Quake.
Make
Champions.
him feel bad about being so bad at Quake
No, make me
Champions.
feel better about being bad.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Let's move on, sir. FIFA 19. Now, you've already have gotten your hands on FIFA, like we said in the beginning of the podcast.
I got my hands all up in FIFA 19.
But more specifically, we're going to talk about changes. Next week, we're going to talk about what you thought of it in general. I think the demo will be out by then, so I'll be able to get my hands on it, right? Or no?
It might be a couple weeks, but
regardless,
yeah.
we still have your opinion. You've said you've already written notes on it. We're going to talk about FIFA 19. You can switch your
FIFA
page
18?
over. Or FIFA...
Changes we want to see made to FIFA 18 for FIFA 19. There. That's what I wrote down.
What I mean is changes in FIFA 19 that we want from 18.
Okay. Tomato. Same thing. Sure.
Got him. Anyways, you have your hands almost in everything.
I do.
Me specifically, I'm career mode. One thing that's not going to happen for me is getting rid of story mode or whatever you call it. What is it called?
The Journey. That was actually the first thing I wrote down.
I want that to be completely gutted out of this game. Not even like I want them just to totally cancel it.
Number 1 in my notes right here. The Journey. It's underlined. The first bullet point. Get rid of it.
I did listen to the Unfiltered podcast of the EA guy, the head of EA. Really nice gentleman, but I'm sorry.
The head of EA Sports specifically.
Well, yeah, but like
Yeah.
he talked specifically on Journey and how it's like we wanted to do this for a sports game.
It's infected Madden now. It's everywhere. It's a
Yeah.
virus.
And like that's my point where I'm like, we don't need this. None of us want this. I mean, there's some people that do. Like some people I guess that want to like jerk off in the little corner, I guess. But you can use these resources for something else. I feel like maybe
that's how I feel.
Maybe what they could do is release the full game and then do your little Journey stuff as like a DLC and see no one buy it and then see how much people don't even want it. That's me. But regardless, Journey is the first thing that I want gone. I don't want this next year. I don't want it ever again. I'm sorry. I know you guys worked hard on it and whatnot, but it has no place in a sports game. I need more focus on the game mode that I really love the most, and that's career mode, and that's the reason why I got into FIFA in the first place. Changes in career mode. We got press conferences coming, right?
Yeah, for the managers.
Yeah, for the managers, we got press conferences for the managers, which makes sense. It's kind of somewhat of a big thing to do on your list. It makes you more interactive, and then it'd be kind of more interesting to see how that works. I think they kind of tested it. I'll give the Journey this. They did kind of like test it through like the Journey and how they had that all work through and like had conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's fine. That's kind of cool because it's a weekly thing you do while you're playing your games. That makes sense. Adding more leagues, more specifically since they're adding Champions League, I don't need entire leagues from the teams that are from the smaller countries. What I want are the smaller those teams from the smaller countries mixed in to where like right now what's going on, Champions League qualifications going on. I'd rather have that be more of a bigger thing to set up for Champions League. 'Cause if we're going Champions League, baby, I want the full package. I want everything that leads up to Champions League, all the impacts that goes around in Europe that happen, all within one little unit.
They just need to bring back.
Sense.
They need to bring back and add in a little bit to what used to be, or maybe still is. I'm not sure actually. Like the rest of the world part of the team selection.
Yeah, the teams go in and out.
Because it used to be like when you're picking a team or whatever, it's like all the different. You pick a country, you pick a league, you pick a team, and then eventually you got to one that was called Rest of the World, and it was just because they do have like I think the Greek league they have 4 teams. Ukrainian league they have they have Shakhtar.
And then they have like Dynamo Kiev, isn't there maybe?
Yeah, maybe. So like there are some leagues, European leagues, where they have the top 2 teams or whatever.
Yeah,
so like they just need to keep expanding.
Yeah, say either top 2 or 3 teams, and then like do a simulation between those 3 teams, and then that's the team that you play in the qualifications. I just wanted to be more bigger than what it is.
I understand.
And I want like one team like when you set up that because that's for me because like whenever I get into a career mode and like I never win the league sometimes. but I'm always like qualifying for Champions League. But then like you have to qualify for Champions League. I feel like it's like weird. Like, oh, you're playing like a big Italian team. Like I'm not that I don't want to play the big Italian team, but I'm like I feel if it doesn't feel realistic. So I want that realism in there. Since we're going Champions League, I said we're going UEFA Cup, whatever. What do you call it? Europa League, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Like that, everything. I want like the full experience for all that. And then Europa League, I mean, there's even more teams.
Right.
And there's more teams qualifying for that. So like you got to add those teams.
I actually didn't think about that. I'm curious to see how specifically the Europa League, because there's so many little teams that are involved.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like they have to enhance that experience by adding those teams. Now that goes into like the Ultimate Team. So I think you get extra players in there as well, but a lot of them are pretty useless because you can't really play them.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think that's an issue. Like you don't even have to just add the teams. Don't even put them in Ultimate Team. I don't care. I just want the extra ammo or the extra whatever we're gonna call it, so I can just have that more realistic experience that they're trying to go for. But yes, other than that, my biggest thing through any sports game is please just generate a goddamn face for the player profile card. That's all I want. I don't care if it's like one of my youngster guys. Just generate a face.
Well, they do have they do generate a face, but it's like in-game engine face. It's not like a real picture.
Yeah, but I want it on I want that face to be on his card thing. When you set the when you go through like the transfer lists and stuff, it's just a blank face. That's
okay,
what I mean.
Okay.
So I want that to be in there. I'm fine with it because like in NCAA, that's what you got. That's all it was. It was all generated faces, and like you kind of you can recognize who's who and whatnot for me.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's like that doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel right that not have those kind of generate those faces there, just a blank card. And that's same thing with Madden. Same thing with like out of the park baseball. Like I don't know why out of the park baseball, all that stuff is generated anyway. So why can't you do it for like the players that don't have pictures or anything like that? Just create something. Come on.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's like one of my it's a stupid thing, but it's still a big thing. And I get if they can't do it, it's fine, but try to work towards it. That's some of my bigger things, I guess. Other than that, I don't really have much. Those are like my big fixes I think they need to do. They're already doing press conference. That makes sense. What do you got per career mode?
Okay, so well, I guess I'll just do my career mode stuff now. So I will start with the first bullet point that I wrote down is just to have more negotiation options for transfers and loans. And one of the only very specific things that I guess I could think of. It's been a little while since I played career mode. I should have played career mode just to like kind of refresh myself of my gripes against this game. But and we're talking specifically. I guess all these changes are specifically for manager career mode too, because neither one of us I think really dabs that much into player.
I did player. I used to do player a lot. But like I used to do one each year, but I did not even touch it this year because I wasn't into it.
So what I have here for management or more negotiation options for transfers or loans, the one that I wrote down was taking partial salaries for loan deals.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're playing as a smaller team, you have say you've got £10,000 a week left on your in your budget. And like you want to go to like a bigger team and get a loan deal, but like you can't afford that person's wages. Like maybe get a little help from pay 40% of his wages and like get the loan deal.
Yeah.
Or even if that includes you pay them £3 million up front and cover a certain percentage of their wages and you get that loan deal. Or the other way around, if you say you really need to clear space for whatever reason, say I'm doing a career mode as Manchester City. I need to clear space on my roster for like another transfer that I'm going to have coming in or like to bring someone up from my academy. And it's like, I just want to get rid of someone and like, I'm willing to pay 90% of the salary if you just take them.
Yeah.
Like that. So like, I want those options
that you have
to be made available. The second thing that I wrote down is I described it as player happiness management. So like, there are a lot of times in career mode when I get super frustrated, specifically when people aren't really starting that often but are still getting a lot of minutes, complaining about, like, you never choose me kind of thing. So what I wrote in here was that I want to be able to negotiate. So in the contract, you always have to pick, like, starter, important, or it's like crucial, important, squad rotation.
Your thing, like
future.
Your thing was like telling me how many starts actually like equates to what that is.
Kind of, yeah. I would either want to know that just off the bat, or what I put in is that the negotiation becomes a combination of like, I guarantee you 15 starts this season, or you get 2,000 minutes. So like maybe you're the first person off the bench every single time, but I just don't want the whole thing. The whole thing right now seems like it just purely revolves around starts. And I don't necessarily want that, especially for the younger players. Like, and then sometimes you get like an email and you're like, I'm not happy, I want to leave, and you're forced to transfer someone because you started them one less game than whatever the game thought you should be, and they're unhappy and they want to leave. It's like that. It's always bothered me. And then also at the same time, they've started. I don't know how long it's been that they've had the like diagonal arrows and then up and down arrows to kind of signify like the form that they're in.
Yeah.
So I want to be able.
That's been around since
probably at least a few years.
No, that's been around.
Oh, really? That long? I don't remember
it
in older FIFAs. But
it's always been in on the formation card. It's always been next to that player. They just finally put it like next to,
okay. So it's just more obvious now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I put in for that is that I want to be able to tell someone why they're not starting. So if I get one of those emails, so they've introduced a little bit more like kind of conversation with your players, and I want that to be even. I know it's probably really difficult for them to do, like just programming wise and like what all the options are, but I want to be able to tell someone like, you're not starting this game, or you get that email where it's like, I'm really disappointed that I didn't start or whatever. It's like, hey, like this guy's like, he has the up arrow, like he's in really good form right now. He scored a goal last week. And, like, so I'm rewarding him with a start. Like, I want to be able to tell and communicate that in some way. So it's not just like, I didn't start, I'm unhappy. Well, it's like, well, here's why. Like, you're out of form, he's in form. Like, even just simple things like that.
Tomato.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess the next two also kind of go, these are my last two, kind of go together. I want an expanded academy system.
Yeah.
I want there to be lower age groups. And to, I guess, fix that, I want it to be, obviously they'll have to generate a bunch more kind of random players, but I want you'd have to reevaluate everyone that when you start a new season, like reevaluate everyone that's in your academy.
So my thing with that, I would say I want even more research done into each academy, because I think when you start a career mode, there's no one in your academy, like it's all blank.
Right.
If you're like if you're top club or whatever in the first division, I think everyone should have somewhat of an academy. It's already set up in a way, and like you shouldn't have to waste your wages on like setting one up unless you're a lower end team, or maybe you only have like you have like a sliver. You have like the one little box out of the three. You know what I mean? That you hire. I'm fine with that, but there has to be something already set up. And if you go into more research to what actual players are in the academy, so you can actually dabble with like who is actually a real person, that'd be kind of cool to you, I think, for me.
Yeah, it would be. And
yeah.
also you'd want to know like where you're strong in your academy, like positionally. Like, you've got a couple of good young strikers, one good young center back, and a couple of midfielders. So you know that like when you're going out searching for your own players, you're like, okay, I know right now that I'm weak. It's like I'm weak on the back line, or like I'm weak at fullback in my academy right now. So like I need to like maybe skew my search a little bit towards like finding fullbacks. So like I got people coming through at all positions at all times.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like, if they can get it to the level like somewhat like Football Manager, that'd be that'd be even better.
So the next point that I have in the academy thing is that I want there to be benefits, or on the other side risks, to searching for players in various regions. So the next point that I have there is that benefit or risk can come even at the expense of higher competition. So one thing that I've always I guess you kind of benefit from this, that there isn't really competition. But what happens in the current farm system, academy system, is that like you get all these you get an email at the beginning of the month or whatever and says, hey, these are all the people that I found in England from your scout. And like you go through them, and like you can leave some of them there every once in a while if you don't sign one of them quick enough. Like they'll go to another club, or like they'll leave your list or whatever. But I think that competition needs to come up front. I think you need to like, hey, like your scout comes back to you like, hey, I found this, 15-year-old CDM, and like, but you have competition from other academies to sign him.
Like, what's it when you have a guy in your short list, it'll tell you like the other clubs are looking
Right.
at him. Yeah. So.
But I want that at like a lower level because like it's that there's probably even more competition at that lower level than there is, because like someone in that age has so many more options available to them. So you need to be like, I just want there to be, and then on the other side, there needs to be some sort of difference between scouting in England and scouting in Venezuela.
Yeah, because I think it's also a big thing to where when you look at like even like the setup for like the global brand.
Mm-hmm.
So like I personally know that Bayern Munich is like they are in Irvine. They have like a club in Irvine, and like they actually just sent over like I think this past year they sent like a 13-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy over to Munich. So like if you're in America, there's actually maybe I don't know, it depends. It's like the club system or not the academy system would be like way more dynamic if they do that in certain areas. Like I mean they just have to do a little bit of research on like where's the best players coming from.
Yeah.
And then like that's like those are hot spots to go to, because like even with like NCAA when you're going through recruiting and stuff, they can basically use that exact same system, how they set it up, because like you have a whole map, you have all 50 states you can recruit from, plus and they give you like every single player from that state and all the positions and like their ranking, total ranking overall. Mm-hmm. And then you can also do like Canada, which is a little bit like more vague, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. But it kind of has like hot spots. And like what I would like to see is like you having like a pipeline in a way, because that's what you do for like NCAA. You set up, say I'm a team, like I'm Marshall in like West Virginia. I want to recruit in California now. I go to California, and I get a certain amount of players every year. Then that becomes a pipeline, so I'm able to like get benefits for like it's a lot easier to get guys from California now to come over.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that is what I like to.
So I would like to see you be able to like, set up something in a South American country, and like. So you have a better chance of finding like that, like Gabriel Jesus like level of player, like in Brazil or whatever. Instead, now it just kind of seems random. Like you get 3 scouts, you send them wherever.
Yeah, there's like no depth in it whatsoever.
Right. So that's just like a lot of these points that I have are coming after that. The last thing I have, and this kind of goes in with the academy, is that I want there to be a higher level of training. So the academy itself, as it sits, there is no training. Everyone just like randomly gets better in like random categories.
Yeah, if they get the progression bonus thing, or they progress a lot faster, like or whatever. I forgot what it's called.
Like promising youth or whatever.
Something like that. And then they basically move up, like even when they're not even playing.
But I'm talking about before you even sign, because that happens after you sign them to your first team.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like in the academy. Like the academy should have 100 kids at all times. Like it doesn't make any sense that like, oh, there's only 5 people in my academy, and then like you get an email, you pick a couple off from the email, you let everyone else go. I just think it doesn't make any sense.
I think they just need to make it another level to the game. Maybe like having like a basic manager mode that they have right now, and then like an advanced manager mode. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what.
And part of this too for me was position training. So I want to especially at the academy level.
No, stamina. My bad.
Oh yeah, that too. But like, that's another. Well, thank you for reminding me of that.
Turbo.
I'll get to that one too. The position training, when you first find a youth, when you're like scouting, it gives you like 3 different positions that they could play, and then as you learn more about them, it kind of picks one. Well, I want to be able to, like, say they have a 90 overall potential. Like, I want to be able to take them and pick which one of those 3, like, train them towards one of those positions.
I guess, but I think when that happens, they have to have like some kind of like like if it's of a defensive player, you can only do it in the defensive kind of realm. If it's an attacking player, you can only do it in the attacking kind of realm.
Fine. Or just make it harder, make it like exceptionally hard.
Yeah, in a certain
to like skip to a different one.
Yeah. So but I wouldn't say you would be a 90 in that position though. I think I think it should be a potential in like this position, like center midi. Like he'd be a 90 in here, but like if he goes to attacking mid, he might be like an 87, and then if he goes to defensive, and then he drops down more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just depending.
Lastly, for Kermode, real quick, you reminded me of it. There has to be some way of improving stamina of players besides just the random progression.
Yeah,
you need like when you're doing the daily training. Why is there not a treadmill?
I would say for the
run on the treadmill.
There should be a thing on,
or it should have nothing to do at all and just like match fitness.
Yeah, well that. Or as well, when you have a player, like say like a younger player, because I know for the older players that it decreases kind of significantly, but for the younger players, like to have them, the more times you put them out there, you could just get stamina. Like so, like you have a certain amount of starts, and the next year your stamina goes up a certain amount that they would figure out for that number. But
stamina in career mode needs to be, because I mean all the young kids should have 100 stamina, because like they're all young, they run around forever, like they have all this energy.
Raheem
like,
started.
You shouldn't be able to pull someone from your cat. Like it's so frustrating because you pick this huge potential player up out of your academy, sign him to your first team, and like he's starting to get into the first team, but the dude has 46 stamina and you can't play him for more than the first half.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Makes no sense.
Moving on, I guess the other big one is Ultimate Team. Real quick, I want to hit Pro Clubs, and in hitting Pro Clubs, I'm going to hit the journey since we talked about it a little bit already. Pro Clubs, the only thing I have written down is that they need to improve.
They just need more incentives to play it.
Well, that maybe, but what I put was AI intelligence. I don't understand why the AI in Pro Clubs is like below amateur on the difficulty rating. Like they are so stupid. They can't even get the ball out of the back sometimes. We play whatever. One of us will be a midfielder, and Anthony and George are strikers or whatever. And like we can't even get the ball out of the back because the AI is so retarded.
I think I saw someone suggest that you just use the actual club, like that you choose. But like the problem with that is like, okay, well I'm gonna pick like one of the top clubs, and then
but you just factor that into the matchmaking, and it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird. I like the idea of playing like maybe like neutralizing everyone's rating, but it'd be kind of weird. But I would like to play it next to like some of the like big players instead of like random generated pro guys.
I would say like either that or like make everyone's AI teams a 78 rated gold, or like the equivalent of that in Ultimate Team. And I don't understand why and then like put them on like world class. And like that's how they play, is like a world class level of AI. I don't understand why the AI is so much dumber in Pro Clubs. And that in turn, that was so like I wanted them to get rid of the journey, but what turned me off most from the journey was that I have the same problem in the journey. So like I'm playing as
Alex Hunter.
Yeah, Alex Hunter. And
I haven't even played the game.
So like I picked
game mode.
I picked Manchester City when I was doing it, and I couldn't even get the ball. And then here I am getting negatives from my manager because the AI can't even get me the ball, and I'm playing center forward, and then I call for the ball and the AI makes a terrible pass, and that's a knock on me in the game mode. Like it's so frustrating. The AI needs to be worked on.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things, and this is why they do not work on journey and work on the actual game.
Yeah.
Sorry, EA.
Ultimate Team. Are you ready? I'll try to go as quick. I know we're probably way over schedule. I'm gonna try to go through this.
Quick.
All right. Squad battles. There needs to be weekly rewards. I wrote this in wrong. Not weekly rewards. There needs to be monthly rewards, like how there is for the weekend league.
Okay.
I want there to be monthly rewards from that. I think it'll make it a much better game mode. You can afford to not play all the time and still get good rewards at the end of the month. That kind of thing. Again, small changes to AI intelligence. The AI scores wonder goals 24/7 in that thing. I want it to be a little bit more realistic, is all. Squad battles done and dusted. See, that was quick. All right. Online seasons. What?
No, just keep going.
Online seasons. There's no purpose to play this past early game. Like this year in FIFA 18, I played Divisions 10 through I went straight through, got promoted all the way to Divisions 1, never touched it again. The rewards aren't good enough. Hopefully the rivals thing that they're introducing kind of replaces this. There needs to be a change to the reward system to make it actually worth playing online seasons more. Single player seasons, I don't really care if they change or not because you're playing the AI over and over again. So I don't care about that too much. Weekend League, it can no longer be 40 games, or it can no longer be 3 days. One or the other. You can keep it 40 games if you get 5 days, or you can cut it to 20 games if you're going to leave it at 3 days. Like, it's just an obscene... I would play it more. I mean, like...
25.
Sure. I mean,
25.
whatever. I'm willing to play it, but I'm not willing to spend my entire weekend every weekend.
But that's why it's called Weekend League,
it's dumb.
bro.
It's dumb.
Fist bump.
Possible changes to qualification process. This, I guess, applies to you more than it does to me, because once you get in if you get to Gold 1, which is 18 wins, you automatically qualify for the next week. So you really don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this. I'm not even. I have no.
So for like just
a desire to play Weekend League
average
anymore,
level players to even below average, like there needs to be at least a path to. And we did see them change this a little bit late into FIFA 18, where it became there were daily and weekly objectives that worked you towards weekend league qualification. So they need to see something like that more often. And then I also put in here, this is kind of irrelevant to most people that play, but the Pro League qualification months impact the weekend league too much. Like they always, so it's like every like it's like I think October, February, and May or something like that are qualification months for all the pro players. So the weekend league gets way sweatier because like everyone's trying to qualify for like events and stuff like that. So the qualification there needs to be some sort of just like straight ranking system. Instead of like 1 month of weekend league is suddenly more important than any other month. I don't really understand why that had to be a thing. FUT draft, the rewards have to change.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I have a lot. We're going quick. Don't worry. Don't stop me. I'm on. This train's rolling.
Okay, go
on. There has to be changes to the reward system. There's absolutely zero reason in the whole wide world why I should win the draft, go 4-0, and lose money. Because sometimes you get 2 25K packs and a 2 5K packs as your reward for winning the draft, and like you can't make your 15,000 coins back from that sometimes, depending on what you pull.
What you're saying is like I should get a minimum 15,000 points back.
I would say 8 to 10 plus the packs.
I would say if you win the draft, you should be able to get another coin.
A token?
Yeah, you just get a token and you get the rewards. That's simple as that. I think that's fair. That's honestly really is fair because that's BS. A lot of the packs that you open, you're just like,
especially mid game. Draft is worth it early game, and draft this year was worth it very late game because there was so much crap in packs. Like they threw all the cards in.
But like that's the thing though. Like you can't just throw this thing out and be like, all right, like not only you're gonna make the best players play, but then also have to like open up packs and they're like, wow, like that was literally a waste of my time. Thank you.
And you lost coins for doing it.
Respect my time first off, but also respect my skill as well. It's like just it's really disrespectful.
So yeah, so like I would be really happy if it was you got like a FUT draft token if you won. But I think the easiest thing for them to do would be to say like if you get zero, if you lose the first game, you get 0 coins plus a couple packs. If you make it through the first round, 2,000 coins, 5,000 coins, 8 to 10,000 coins. So like if you win the draft, you get 8 to 10,000 coins plus the pack. It helps you just bridge that 15,000 coin price a little bit easier, or you know cut the price in half, like make it 7.5 or 8,000 coins, and then move on with it. I don't understand why not all the cards are available in draft. The SBC card should be there. Player of the month card should be there, which I guess is an SBC player. It would help me sometimes determine whether or not I'm actually going to go for a certain player if I get an opportunity to try it out. So I want to see them have more of the cards available.
I think it'd be
and pop up more frequently. Even if you play draft right now, you still only get the same probably like 20 cards to choose from, and there's like hundreds of viable cards at this point with all the team of the seasons and stuff like that. So I don't understand that.
I would say like it'd be even more interesting to where like you get certain packs that you want, and then you can put in certain positions that you have set up. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah,
is
I guess.
I don't know. It's just my in my head that was what I'm thinking, like how I said about the Fallout packs.
Yeah.
Like you have specific ones,
right.
but then you change. I don't know, something like that. I don't
know. Last thing is just a really small personal gripe for draft. You should not be matching against people that have a guest. Just no. You should not be playing 2v1 in a knockout game, in a knockout system with like that amount of money spent to get in and like the amount of rewards that are at stake. Like you should not be playing 2v1 at all.
At all.
Do
you want to wait for this one for next week?
No, I just want to blow through it.
Okay, go ahead.
Just get it over with. Next week we'll talk about FIFA 19 now that I've actually played that. All right, I'm just going to blow through this real quick. Refresh of the chemistry system. I wish that they would do this. I think it's abused. I don't like how people like intentionally like they build their teams in a certain way and then pause the game before kickoff and move everyone around and make a substitution. I don't like how it's abused.
They need to be punishing people for like when you pause, it should still be the foot or the foot head formation that you're looking at the screen.
Yes.
And then like when you look at it and it moves you actually see the chemistry moving around. That needs to be done.
That was my next point was that if they keep the system the way it is, it should apply at all times, even in game.
Yeah.
And I also put in here possible elimination of the chemistry styles. I've never really known how I feel about being able to like give random people like the chemistry styles are basically the same as the like pace cards. Like I mean, you give a defender a shadow, they're plus 15 sprint speed, plus 10 acceleration.
It's just more stuff to the pack, Jacob.
Anyway,
all right.
And another simple change, if they don't really change the chemistry system, is that I would not allow strikers to be moved past Cam, and I would not allow CDMs to be moved past center midfield. You can't, because you get, especially if you watch any of the Pro League games, you have like Thierry Henry at CM or CDM to fit the chemistry.
Like there's players that can only go so far.
Right.
Yeah,
So if the starting card is a striker, you can only move back so far.
Well, this is like my gripe with like Ultimate Team in general. I think you should only be able to move players around to where the actual positions they can play. But the problem is like a lot of guys can go right and left. I don't know. Maybe you have different tiers of cars that you pull where like you can only get one that plays on the left, or the higher tier car would be like you get one that plays like both sides or something like that.
What I put in here for that is that I wouldn't be opposed to being able to change positions, but it would have to follow only an extreme set of requirements, and it would be permanent.
Guess what? This is a lot more work for EA, so they're not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. Special teams. So I put in team of the week, team of the season, etc. There are way too many attack-minded players. The ratio of attackers to defenders is way too high. Am I not talking to my microphone enough?
No, it's just like every time I move it, your mouth goes like farther.
Sorry. Okay. There are too many, especially early and mid-game. You get too many high-level attackers and not enough high-level defenders to choose from. Because basically what you're left with by even the end of the game are icons, team of the season Juventus center backs, and team of the season La Liga center backs.
What we saw with the icon announcement, there was only like one defender.
There was one defender, yeah.
And that's what is going on there? Come
on. And then a really small thing, real quick, is just organization. I want to be able to search for rare, non-rare cards, not have them all grouped together.
All right.
Special cards.
What's his name? Bateson?
Yeah. Special cards should not show up when I'm searching for gold. That's mainly a problem when you get late game and you have like a bunch of random things in your club at that point. And you should be able to search by rating or rating range. And then I want rewards for completing all of the daily objectives and all of the weekly objectives. There's no point to, it's like every day there's 4 or 5 new objectives. If you complete all of them, you don't get anything.
Yeah.
So I want there to be like, even if it's a small pack, like I want there to be like something for finishing all of those.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's like simple. I mean, it's simple fixes. Honestly, that's all it really is. With a little bit more work, if they didn't spend the time on the journey, which they could have done.
Moral of this whole hour-long discussion of FIFA 18: get rid of the journey.
Like there's just don't work. Like, there's so much more things you need to fix before you get to the journey. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was on the back of that?
This is for a future thing or like later in the show.
Okay.
Not FIFA related.
Sorry about the FIFA rants and whatnot. I don't really have that much. I just want like simple changes done.
You don't play Ultimate Team as much as I do anymore. So.
Yeah, well, for Ultimate Team, like I have those same kind of like ideas, but like the only thing I do is play what was like the weekly thing where you play like 4 games a day.
Squad battles.
Squad battles. That's all I do. I don't play weekend league because it's like there's no point.
Yeah.
And I play online seasons or something like that, and that's it. Yeah. So let's move on. That was
very long Jacob
and me segment. Let's get into something drafted, all right?
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's undraft our opinions right now. We have the NCAA basketball specifically has completely gotten rid of one and done, right?
It is not yet.
Okay.
Everything on the NCAA's end is ready for one and done to be gone.
Okay. So
I have the rules written down so I can explain it.
Okay. Read the rules and then we'll go.
Okay. So I have 4 big things kind of that they're written down. NCAA announced new rule changes for their basketball programs, like system-wide. Their goal here was, according to the NCAA, to, quote, minimize the leverage of harmful outside influences. So basically what they're doing is making a bunch of things that used to be illegal and not allowed by the rules but still happening. All those things are allowed now. So the first thing is that high school seniors will be able to retain an agent if NBA, so this was the if, why the one and done is not gone yet. If NBA changes rules saying they don't have to sit 1 year minimum. So what's happened is that the NCAA is ready for one and done to be gone, but there's also rules on the NBA side that cannot be changed until this current collective bargaining agreement expires. And that collective bargaining agreement with the NBA Players Association does not expire until 2022. So one and done will still be a thing until 2022, because then the NBA, assuming that at that point the NBA changes the rules on their end, changing the eligibility age minimum, then one and done will be gone, and people can jump straight from high school to the NBA.
Okay.
Current college underclassmen will be allowed to have the services of an agent starting with the 2019 draft after the season is over and after they have filed a request with the NCAA. Pretty straightforward, I assume. If the student chooses to come back to school, they have to cut all of the communication and relationship with that agent. And so that's like the next big thing, is that players have the option to come back to school. So college basketball players who request an evaluation, participate in the NBA Combine, and aren't drafted can return to school as long as they notify their athletics director of their intent to return the Monday after the draft. So there's been a little bit of criticism that I've heard about this, is there's such a short period of time, because like the draft happens on like a Friday or Saturday, and like so they only really have a couple days to decide whether or not they're going to return to school. So yeah, but
maybe they'll. I mean, compromise would be to extend that period, but like, I hate the idea like, oh, there's these young kids that are making decisions for like the rest of their life. I'm like, I think they should have already a discussion with like their coach, the whatever school they've gone to, about like what's going to go on and whatnot, to where they already make the decision and whatnot if they don't get drafted. You know what I mean? Just that should be like, there's enough prevention and enough like hand holding to where they can make that decision on their own and not have to be that complaint or that little like thing where like, oh, he's just a kid, it's just big. They're like, no, dude, like, either you're going to make money or you're going back to school. Come on.
Yeah.
I think you could figure that
out. So overall, I guess I'm okay with all of these changes. I think that if you're in high school and you're good enough, or at least you think you're good enough to go straight to the NBA, you should have that option if you want it. And then the whole thing with like the agents and all that, this was something that's been happening under the table for years, and everyone knew that it's been happening under the table for years.
It's not just basketball and baseball.
Yeah, it's all.
I mean, I think even for baseball,
it's
that's
probably all sports.
Yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, I don't have a. The only thing is like, is this going to be implemented into football eventually, which is already happening, obviously. But like, I meant like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be up front more or more up front? We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, so they're basically just decriminalizing a lot of things that have already been happening for a really long period of time.
And like a lot of, what's it called? A lot of programs get punished for some stupid stuff like this all the time.
Right.
Now you can't really do that, or you can't really do that anymore. Especially with like the big, what's it called? The Big Five? What do they call them?
Like the 5 conferences? Or
no, the Fat Five. Like that stuff that went between all those guys and what they had going on. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. It's just we'll have to wait and see what the NBA is going to choose to do. Nothing will happen, I guess, unless both the NBA and the Players Association agree to like an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement, which I'm not even sure if they can do or not. Then it won't be until 2022. But yeah, otherwise I think these are steps in the right direction. It's kind of like a half step in the direction of the MLB draft. The MLB draft, you can be drafted and go back to school. But obviously the league, like the MLB, have contingencies in place to compensate teams if, like, you know, if you have a top 3 pick and they decide to go back to school or whatever, then you get a compensation pick. So
well, they have the lottery and everything for the NBA, but that was because teams were losing on purpose and whatnot.
Yeah, and what did that do? Teams are still losing on purpose.
Yeah. Increase some chances.
Anyway.
NBA, I mean, we were even going to the discussion, like, not to say real quick, but we were talking about the paying athletes and stuff discussion. I'm like, I feel, for me, if looking outside from what basketball, what a one-and-done player gets, he doesn't really get much of a education on the sport as much as a guy that goes into, like, a football program. Like, if he's, like, the top program in basketball, I mean, there's a lot of them. But, like, say a top program versus, like, when you go to, like, Alabama, I think you're getting more of an education in football than you are going to, like, one of those top schools in basketball. For me, that's what it looks like.
So you're saying, like, depending on the sport, whether or not they should be paid?
No. I'm saying depending on, like, I'm saying the incentives of going to like those big programs aren't just to get drafted as soon as possible or get like the limelight and being able to play. Because a lot of people are saying like, oh, high school athletes should be able to go straight from high school to NFL.
Yeah.
Which is like, I would be terrified if that was a thing. There's a lot of going to be. You might have
somebody's
like
gonna die.
Yeah, there's gonna be fatalities, but regardless, I think you get more of an education in football, in the football programs than you do in the basketball programs leading up to your pro career.
So you're talking about like education for the sport.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about like a quarterback learning to read a defense and like learning
at a higher level and some.
That's what you're talking about. Like I guess the whole thing with paying players for me is like, so what you hear a lot of the time is that these what's the word that I'm looking for? Not teams, schools, organizations are program. That was the word I was looking for. These programs are making so much money that like some of this money, they're basically making free money off the backs of the athletes or whatever is what a lot of people say. And that's
we gotta get to the point though. Come on. We gotta move on.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's what a lot of people say about like why people should be paid. But in my mind, the payment is the free education.
Yeah, that's another thing. People
making people
every value in education, but when you do it with a sport, then they're like, oh no.
Every single athlete at a major university is being paid $200,000 over their $200,000 or more over their 4 years in unpaid tuition and housing and food.
Most a lot of the NFL players,
sure, whatever it is, a potential of 4 years.
Yeah,
they're making $50,000 to $70,000 a year in free stuff.
Mm. But it's not good enough though. But that's what it is. Let's move on. I said I was going to do this a while ago, and I have.
A while ago.
We're going to go through this kind of quickly.
Okay.
But this morning, actually, specifically, the AP preseason top 25 poll for college football came out. We're going to go into college football right now. And I did the awesome thing of going through. I already had a top 25 list. It's a little bit different from what they have. There's a couple of moves and whatnot. Oregon is in the top 25. It says South Carolina. Like Boise for this one, Boise State's 25 that I had, and then but in Boise in like the top 20 or the preseason is at 23. So there's a couple of moves around, but it's not.
Way to go! You didn't get it perfect. You're fired.
I honestly, I'll tell you why Boise should be at that point. But anyways,
right, you tell me.
Going through it real quick. I didn't go extensively into Oregon because I just saw it this morning, so I just looked at some stuff real quick. I know Willie Taggart. He moved from Oregon to Florida State, so they have a new coach there. I forgot the new coach's name. I didn't write it down. But regardless, they have a returning quarterback with Justin Herbert, and they also have they're gonna have a more mature defense this year. It looks like a lot of people are having them outside the top two teams in the Pac-12 North with Washington and Stanford. I'm not too highly on them. They're gonna have a new new coach. For me, moving around coaches isn't the best thing. It's very rare instance where a new coach can come in. And be really successful that first year, regardless of what he has. So Oregon, I'm not too highly on them. I didn't have all the other stats that I did for the next 25 teams I'm going to do real quick. But regardless, they'll probably finish like third or fourth in like their conference section, not just conference total, because they have college football is weird. Anyways, moving on. Number 25, Boise State. My Boise State Broncos. BSU, go Big Blue. So I wrote down big games they have. I have some stats in there, some little notes. I'm going to go through what they did last year in their record and what I think they're going to do at the very end. And before that, though, too, I'm also going to talk about key players that are still there and the key players that are going to leave or that have left. So let's get into it. So Boise State's big games. They have away at Troy, home at UConn, away at Oklahoma State. I have some of the bigger games. I feel like they're going to be bigger games. An away game at Air Force, a home game against BYU, and then I have a maybe for a home game for San Diego State because San Diego State, a lot of people have a lot of chatter around them right now. At the last thing I've seen, we have 10 returning starters on defense, which is really good. We haven't had that kind of returning numbers since like Kellen Moore's like senior year, I think. or maybe junior year. So that was like really like surprising. It's really good. I think we only lost. He went to the Cowboys. I forgot his name. It's like a really long name. Offensively, my big things with Boise State is quarterbacks. I'm gonna go like maybe a little too long for Boise, but just because. But the last game I really watched was the Washington State game I saw last year. It was a terrible game. Kozart, I think, was the guy that we had in, and we had Ripien come in, and it was just a big mess. And I really didn't follow them as much as I usually do because I was just really pissed off we lost that game. But the big thing, scoring points, defense is going to be probably as good as they did. They were tied for 23rd in interceptions last year with 15, tied for fumble recoveries in 11. So that's a lot of turnovers. Their total offense was 33rd. Total defense was 45th. Their offensive efficiency was 37. Their defensive efficiency was 27. So if you look at those numbers, really efficient on defense, and it kind of made up for the numbers on offense and what's probably going to happen. We have Brett Ripien coming back, and then Alexander Madison as well. We lost Cedric Wilson to the draft. He went to the Cowboys. Like bigger players are coming, but we usually are able to replace and reload usually, so I'm not too worried. But we went 11-3 last year. That was post bowl schedule. I think we'll go 10-12 this year. For me, I think it's going to be either an Oklahoma State game that we might lose, and then it's going to be somewhere in the conference. Don't know where it's going to be.
10-2 or 10-12? You said 10-12.
10-2.
Okay. 10-2.
So, 24 big games for Virginia Tech, the Hokies. We got away at Florida State, home at Notre Dame, and I put a maybe for Miami because I don't know if Miami's actually going to be good this year again. Total offense for them is at 47 ranked. Total defense is 11. Offensive efficiency is 62. Defensive efficiency is at 20. They are probably going to be defensive heavily again this well, no, they lost some people, so they probably won't be defensive heavily. It just going to depend on how they replace. They do have some players coming back, Josh Jackson, and then there was a running back. I don't think I put it down, but they did lose Callum Phillips to the draft. For me, I think they might slip up in one of those games. Obviously, they went 9-4 last year. I believe they're probably going to go 9-3 this year. It's just going to depend on the offense making the least amount of mistakes. But they did do really well last year, I think, because of their defense. But they only gave up 60 penalties, which is actually pretty decent. They were 22nd in the country. So, like I said, they'll probably have a decent year. Hokie fans, be excited. 23, Mississippi State. The Bulldogs. I'm remembering these. Away at Kansas State, home at Florida, home at Auburn, away at LSU, home at Texas A&M, and then away at Bama. They have four of those games are all in a row. I think it goes Florida, Auburn, LSU. No, it goes Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, and Bama, all in a row. That's like one of like the toughest like stretches of games in college football right now. And now I'll get to the other one later. Like I said, but they have Kansas in the beginning of the year, and then they basically have no one else. They should be able to get through. They have Joe Moorhead. He's the old Penn State offensive coordinator. Should be a better offense. The problem with their offense last year was they ran the ball way too much. Nick Fitzgerald actually was like top 80 in like rushes as a quarterback, and not top 80 as a passer. So that needs to change. That's like he's like one of the only key players that are coming back that I've saw. But yeah, they need to stay healthy through those games. Maybe there's an outside chance. They went 9-3, 9-4 last year, but I feel since they have a home game against Auburn, they have a home game against Texas A&M. I think they'll probably lose to Auburn and Bama and maybe someone else in between. I have them going 9-3, which is actually kind of surprising a little bit, but I kind of like them. 22, South Carolina, one of my teams I like watching or I have liked this year.
The Gamecocks.
Gamecocks, yes. Home against Georgia, home against Tennessee, away against Florida, away against Clemson. That's not a lot of tough games for them. Why? I don't know why. That's a good schedule for them. They're in SEC East. It's kind of wide open, even though Georgia's leading. Georgia's obviously championship game last year. Total offense for them.
But did they win?
Well,
Sorry, continue.
Okay. Their total offense was at 102, which is not good. Total defense is at 52, but their offensive efficiency was at 57, and their defense efficiency was at 42. I think the reason why they're more efficient because they gave up less penalties. They were 24th in the country last year. This is when I get into the stats where I actually did that, but they only had a +4 score difference, which is not good, and that's why you see like they just need to get a better offense. I guess they need to be more offensive heavily. They do have Jake Bentley and then Ryan Edwards coming back for them. For me, I like their schedule setup. They should get through the games that I didn't notice. They have a home game against Georgia. That's a big game for them. They have a home game against Tennessee, away game against Florida, and an away game against Clemson. So they went 9-4 last year. I have them going 10-2 this year, which is kind of big. And then we'll get into something else later with them. Texas. I don't know why they're ranked.
This is your rankings. You tell me why they're ranked.
No, I didn't rank. No, this is like a rankings that I've gone on like general and just went through.
Okay,
I didn't rank these. No, my rankings. I only have 10 ranked teams.
Okay, fair enough.
So here we go. 21, Texas. They have a home game against USC, a home game against TCU, away game, which is on a neutral site against Oklahoma. I have maybes against Oklahoma State and West Virginia because I don't know if Texas is going to be relevant to even make those a big game.
Dust.
But plus sides, they have the top third. They were third in the recruiting class this upcoming year, which I don't think it means a lot. Also, I like Herman. He's like a decently good coach. He came from, I want to say he came from Oklahoma before he went to Texas. And then last year, though, they were terrible in penalties. They were at 112th with 92 penalties.
Dang. So they're the Oakland Raiders of college football.
Yes, very much. So, yeah, they had a 7-point spread or plus for them. So they need to increase that. They need to score more points on offense. Sam Ehlinger is going to be their guy that hopefully they're just going to lead them. They went 7-6 last year. This channel was actually based off doing college football stuff, and I actually had them going 6-6, so it's actually correct. And I'm gonna have them going 6-6 this year again. I think they just don't have enough at all. I'm sorry, Texas. You're not good. Sorry. 20, Florida State. Big games. Home game against Virginia Tech early, away against Miami, home against Clemson, away against North Carolina State, away at Notre Dame, home against Florida. I feel like with this higher ranking, they have less pressure on them because they're not in the top 10 or top 5. They do have Willard Target, like I mentioned before. He went from Oregon to here. There's a weird.
Did he take the Oregon Trail?
Maybe he might have took it back.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
But regardless, they only threw the ball for 200 yards, or they were under 200 yards a game. They need to increase that. I know they have James Blackman coming back, and Cam Akers, running back. But they also I forgot his first name, but Francois is going to be back from his injury because he got hurt in the first game of the year last year. They need to increase their points difference to make up for that, but I don't see them doing really well this year at all, just because of the coaching change and the quarterback situation, and it just doesn't look good for me. I have them go. They went 7-6 last year, and I have them going 7-5. So that's not good. 19 TCU, my Big 12
Texas.
My Big 12 favorite out of all these teams for the Big 12. They big games. They play Ohio State at a neutral site, Texas away, Oklahoma away against West Virginia. I think games to watch though would be the Kansas State game away and the Oklahoma State game home, just because I don't know if Kansas State are gonna have some kind of, if they're gonna grow balls. This depends because they play a lot of interesting games. And though I'm only gonna watch the Oklahoma State game.
Kansas State just got called out.
Well, no, I don't know. It just depends. There's always that weird team in the Big 12 that's weird. It just shows up out of nowhere. Oklahoma State, I'm gonna watch that because obviously they're playing Boise, and if Boise wins that game, so that game's gonna be more relevant. They have a Heisman hopeful quarterback. A lot of people like this Sean Robinson. He's like a sophomore, but they did lose Kenny Hill, their quarterback. He's not in the NFL at all, I don't think, but they lost him. They need to make the Ohio State game entertaining because of the way the people don't like the Big 12 as much, just because I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird system. And I have a lot of faith in Gary Patterson to get it done. With Urban Meyer's situation going on right now, it's weird. And we'll get into Ohio State when we get to that point. They had a 16-point difference this past year, which is really good against a lot of good defenses. And I think they went 11-3 last year, but I have them going 9-3 this year. So hopefully that – I don't think it's going to get them in the college football playoff, but they do better than that. I have a minimum going 9-3. LSU, the toughest schedule in college football, I feel. They have a neutral site against Miami, away against Auburn, home against Florida State, away against Georgia, home against Mississippi State, home against Bama, away against Texas A&M. Like I said, one of the toughest schedules. They do have a transfer quarterback from Ohio State, Joe Burrow. But I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. They have a really good defense. Defensive efficiency last year was 14 overall with a total defense of 12. If they can keep that efficiency and get the offense going, which is kind of bad because they have a lot of holes, like Geis, Chalk, and Etzling, Danny Etzling, I think that's how you say his last name, are gone. Or even Darian Williams, actually, my bad. So they lost a lot on offense. So if they're not able to replace that, that's not good. They went 9-4 last year. I have them going 7-5. Not good for LSU
No
fans.
bueno.
UCF.
Tigers?
The only
Tigre?
no, Golden Knights for UCF.
No, sorry.
LSU.
I was still on
Okay.
LSU. You said they were going to go 7-4. I was like, no bueno.
Yeah. UCF, the only team that went undefeated last year, they went 13-0. They have a home game against FAU. A lot of people were hyped up for FAU for some reason because of Lane Kiffin. Away against North Carolina. I put a question mark against the Pitt game, which is a home game for them. And they, at the tail end of the season, they can lose to anyone, basically. It just depends on their team. They have Mackenzie Milton returning, who was like a number 7 quarterback last year overall, like as in like stats. They're really efficient on defense, even though they didn't really have a good defense. I think the only reason why they were efficient because they were tied for second in interceptions with 20 and tied for 13th in fumble recoveries with 12. So that's really efficient. So like I said, they went 13-0 last year. I have them going 11-1 because I feel like they're going to slip up a game because they lost a couple guys on defense that are just – it's going to depend. And I think they might have lost their coach too. I have to double check that. West Virginia.
Did you say it's almost heaven?
What?
Never mind. Sorry.
Almost.
It's John. Oh, you don't even know John. You told me the other day you don't know who John Denver is. Never mind.
Yeah.
This is a John Denver joke, but it's okay.
Oh, damn. Here we go. West Virginia. No neutral site against Tennessee. Away against NC State. Notice I have NC State in a lot of these games. Away at Texas. Home at TCU. Away at Oklahoma State. Home against Oklahoma. Last 4 weeks are all for those last 4 that I said, so it's going to be tough in a way. But they have Will Greer, who is a big Heisman hopeful guy. He was the number 20 quarterback last year, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that are gone from this past year. You also have Gary Jennings Jr. coming back to throw to, and Danny Sills Jr. to throw to as well. They definitely have a lot more coming back. They lost a couple of guys, but I think they'll be able to replace them. They went 7-6 last year. Unfortunately, I had them going a little bit better. They slipped up against Virginia Tech last year, unfortunately. They need to run the ball better to improve this record that I have. But I think they're going to go 8-4 if they can run the ball and free up some of the passing lanes. They'll have a better record than 8-4. Next, 15, we have USC. Yeah, whatever that is. I know it is. Away, the Trojans. Away at Stanford early. Away at Texas. Home against, I put Washington State on there. Away at Arizona. Away at Utah. Away at UCLA. And home against Notre Dame. I didn't pick UCLA. I think they play someone else early in the season. I'm not going to have them rated that high. I think at the end of the season they'll be able to pick it up because of Chip Kelly. Here we go. Hopefuls. I hope UNLV beats them in the first week just because I wrote that as a note. It's going to be an interesting quarterback battle in a way. I think JT Daniels from Mater Dei, who's like down the street from us.
Mater Dei.
He's right now one of the head guys that might get that spot. They were tied last year, or no, they were 100 and 26th in penalties last year. They need to bring that number down to get better. They had 107 penalties, which is terrible. But they did lose a lot of guys. They lost Sam Donald, Ronald Jones, and DeAndre Burnett. I'm going to say Bertrand for some reason. But they also have Tyler Bonds, who's come back and replacing Burnett for them. They need to stop the bleeding, though, for this team. They only had a +6 goal difference with a great offense. Their defense needs to pick up the slack. So they went 11-3 last year. I have them going 8-4. They're going to slip up some games. Yikes. So, sorry. When you have to replace all those players, it's just not going to go well. Sorry. 14, Stanford. Home game against San Diego State. A lot of people rate San Diego State. They lost Rashad Penny. I don't know why they have them so high. But anyways. Home game against USC, away against Notre Dame, home against Washington State, away against Washington, away against UCLA. If they can take the South out real early with that USC game, they're basically in the driver's seat just for like North games, but they just have to. The South is going to be a cluster in the Pac-12 for sure this year, I think. They have the best player or one of the best players in college football. Bryce Love, who was like a number 2 running back overall last year in stats. I think I know how he has 2 last names. I want to just say Whiteside. I don't know how to pronounce the other one, but he's returning. He's a great. I enjoyed him. He's a good piece for them. He I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. You got to watch Stanford games to understand it. I guess for me, I don't know how to explain it. Last year they were 12th in interceptions with 18. They need to keep that up. They went 9-5 last year. I think with all those games said, at the end of the year, I think the Washington and UCLA game is going to be kind of tricky for them. But I have them going 8-4 as a worst record, not the best record. I think they can do better than that. Just that minimum, they'll go 8-4. 13, Michigan State. They have an interesting schedule. Away at Penn State, home against Michigan, home against Ohio State, and that's it.
They're done.
They can get through the first 5 weeks reasonably. The back-to-back games I think is the Michigan or the Penn State Michigan game, which the Michigan game is home. So 2 out of those 3 games are home games for them. And they have some returning guys. They have Brian Lewerk. I can't read. Ellis Scott and Felton Davis III. I think they're going to be able to increase that +4 difference last year. They went 10-3 last year, which is actually pretty good, and I think they're going to go 10-2, and they might be able to sneak in on their side, which is like the tougher side of the Big Ten, just because of like how they have that schedule set up. They don't have to play Wisconsin, but there's an Iowa or it's a random team that they might beat them, but I don't see that happening. Next, we have another Michigan team, the Wolverines. Wittenberg's little brother goes there. Away at Notre Dame real early.
Shout out to Alec Wittenberg.
Home against Wisconsin. Away against Michigan State. Home against Penn State. And then home against Ohio State. I think the Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Penn State game are back-to-back-to-back. Tough stretch of games right there. Can you please win, Jim Harbaugh?
That's not what he's there for. He is there to wear khaki pants.
I understand that.
And look cool.
For me, it's like I really like Jim Harbaugh. I used to like watching Michigan before. I think it was who was the coach? No, Rich Rodriguez.
Ignore that.
Rich Rodriguez went there and kind of ruined that whole just system. And then they had Brady Hoke. I think that's his name. That came in. Yeah, it was just it was bad. I enjoy watching Michigan games. Me and my dad used to watch Michigan games all the time. It would be Notre Dame, Michigan, and then we would watch whatever else was out. But I have them go, or they went 8-5 last year. I have them going 9-3 with Shea Patterson and Kareem Higdon coming back. Higdon, whatever. How you say his last name. Should be good pieces. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't understand how he's not winning. That's my problem. That's my gripe. But I have them going 9-3. It's only a 1 game plus difference from last year. But I believe they'll be better. They have a decent defense. They had a number 3 defense last year, so it's not bad.
Do better, Jim Harbaugh.
Exactly. Miami, neutral site against LSU, home against Florida State, away against Virginia Tech. That's it. They should be able to beat everyone else. Milik Rozier, and then Travis Homer coming back for them. Malik, he was like the 30th best quarterback last year, so that was pretty decent. There's a lot of gaps because like a lot of guys left this past year are just done from the previous year. Defense, a really good defense, tied for 15th with 17, and then tied for 7th with 14 fumble recoveries. This is kind of long, isn't it? How long is this? Oh, we're good. 10-3 is what they went last year. But I think they're going to go 9-3 this year. Either going to lose the 2 games, 2 out of the 3 games that I noted right now, plus 1 just random game. I'm not sure if they play. Maybe I might have missed the NC State. If they're playing NC State, they might lose to them too. We'll see.
Can I ask a question real quick?
What?
How come there's a game's difference? Is it like a bowl game or something? So like they were 10-3 last year, but you haven't going 9-3.
There's a bowl game difference, and then there's also the conference championship game.
Okay, just making sure.
So that's why there's like way more. Like why Boise State's like record was like wait, how's that? Yeah,
Okay.
You play 12 games. It used to be 11. Then people are like, oh, no, we're gonna play 12. Not for money, no, just like to have a better record. Sometimes it just looks better when you try to squeeze in the extra non-conference game. To like, oh, we played this team, so yeah.
Okay.
And then but money's a thing that's you've added to it too, yeah.
Okay.
Penn State, number 10, home against Ohio State, home against Michigan State, away against Michigan, home against Wisconsin. The Michigan and Wisconsin game are back to back. Travis McSorley is back, but they did lose Saquon Barkley and Deshaun Hamilton this past year to the draft. They were 12th in penalties last year, which is really good, with the 54. And 4th in fumble recoveries with 15. So if their defense can be a top-rated defense, their efficiencies do not reflect what kind of rank. They were 22nd in total offense and 20th in defense, but their efficiencies were both 3. So you have really good, efficient parts. So I'm hopeful for them, but they went 11-2, but I think the best record the worst record they're gonna get is 9-3. So they can do better than that, though, I believe. But I think the worst record they're gonna get this year is 9-3. Here we go. Notre Dame, or don't they pronounce it Notre Dame sometimes, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Fighting Irish, home against Michigan, home against Stanford, away against Virginia Tech, home against Navy. I just put the Navy in there because they run a triple option. Well, maybe they don't run that anymore, actually. I have to double check. Maybe,
that's a lot of options.
Yes. Home against Florida State and then away against USC. Kind of a tough schedule, but not for college football, but for Notre Dame. To note, not a tough schedule for college football. Tough schedule for Notre Dame. One last time. Tough schedule for Notre Dame, not for college football.
For the people in the back now.
They have enough gaps to recover for any kind of I think the Michigan game, and then after that, they have like a week before the Stanford, and then they have like nothing until Virginia Tech. So they have enough gaps in there to kind of do good. They lost a guy, Josh Adams. They didn't really have any noticeable guys that came in and out for them, which is weird. And I don't know what that means. They had a plus 13 points difference last year. They need to keep that up. But with all the games I said, they went 10-3 last year. I don't think they're going to do that good this year. I'm going to say they're going to go 7-5. So the worst record for the top 10 teams so far. Auburn, neutral against Washington. Very big game to note. Home against LSU, away against Michigan State. Or no, Mississippi State, Jesus. Away against Georgia. Away against Bama. And I put maybes against Tennessee and A&M. Interesting start to the season. Washington, that's a big game. One of the most important games of college football. So they have Jarrett Stidham coming back as quarterback. And then Ryan Davis. They lost Cameron Johnson to the NFL.
That pesky NFL always taking players.
Yep. They were 16 plus or plus 16 in score difference. It was actually really good for their the SEC in general, just because of how good defenses are and how bad offenses are. But I think what we're gonna see again is they went 10-4 last year. I think there's too much there for them to not figure out. I think they might have an early loss against Washington. I think the best record they're gonna have, or the worst record they're gonna have, is 8-4. Moving on, we're almost done. Washington, number 7, neutral Auburn. What we just went through. Away against Utah, home against BYU, home against Stanford, away against Washington State, just because it's a Washington rivalry game. And then they have a maybe against Oregon away. I just don't know what Oregon is going to bring to the table. Just a lot of people are high up on them. Peterson, the old Boise State coach, he knows how to reload. They have a really good offense and a really good defense. Jake Browning coming back, and Miles Gaskin coming back for them. So they have somewhat decent guys, even though Jake Browning wasn't that good last year, looked like, when I looked at his stats. They were 12th in penalties last year, or tied 12th with 54 penalties, but also tied for interceptions at 23rd, tied for 23rd interceptions with 15. So keep that efficiency on defense, and their top defense mixed with a decent offense. They went 10-3 last year. I have them going 11-1 and getting into the college football playoff, which is big. They did win that conference game. The South needs to just sit down and take it. Sorry.
Take it.
6, Wisconsin, home against BYU, away against Michigan, away against Penn State. They have the easiest schedule out of any of the top 10 teams. Easiest schedule. They should have no problems. They have Alex Hornibrook coming back at quarterback, and Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in college football right now. Tied second in interceptions last year with 20. That's because they play really bad teams. They need to bring the offense, total offense up. I think they need to throw the ball a little bit more, get a wide receiver in the top 80 next year. But like they have a great defense. They were 4th in defense last year and 7th in efficiency. They went 13-1 last year. I have them going 11-1 this year. I think they're going to drop it's either going to be the Michigan or the Penn State game, and then make it to the Big Ten, and then we'll see what happens. Oklahoma, number 5. Home against FAU, neutral against Texas, or neutral site against Texas is at the Cotton Bowl. Away against TCU, home against Oklahoma State, away against Washington or West Virginia. No Baker Mayfield for them this year. He's gone. Do you have Anderson, Brown, and CD? Yes, they have a guy. I forgot to put his first name, but his last name is just CD.
CD. Like the letters CD?
No, it's just C, like S-E-E.
Oh, okay.
No, C-E-E, and then D-E-E.
Okay.
So they have them coming back. Mayfield and Andrews are gone for them. Mark Andrews is a top 80 receiver, and he's a tight end, so that's going to be a big thing if they can replace him. I think they'll be able to do it with the 2 wide receivers they have. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback, so that's why I'm going to have them not be the number 1 offense like they were last year. They went 12-2 last year. I'm going to have them go 8-4. I just really like TCU and West Virginia a little bit more. I think they're just like sleeper teams. 4, Ohio State. Neutral against TCU, away against Penn State, away against Michigan State, home against Michigan. Urban Meyer, I don't know what's going on with him. They have like a weird domestic violence issues with one of his assistant coaches. So who knows what's going on with there. He hasn't been at all summer practices or whatnot. He's on paid leave, just like the Maryland guy.
I think if he was going to be fired, he would have been fired already.
Yeah, but we won't see. But like that, and who knows what kind of impact that's going to have on the team. They need to find a quarterback, but they do have J.K. Dobbins coming back for them. They lost D.J.T. Barrett. I always say DJ Barrett for some reason. I don't know why. Good defense. They need to keep that good defense up. But they also were tied last year in total offense and 3rd, but I don't know how good that's going to be. They went 12-2 last year. I think the worst record they're going to have this year is 8-4.
Yikes.
Yeah, worst record, though. They can do better than that. My beanie just fell off. Anyways, moving on. Georgia. We're almost done, dude.
Georgia.
Oh,
away. I'm going to do that every single time you say Georgia.
Away against South Carolina. Away against LSU. Home against Auburn. 3 games for them. Real nice, simple. They needed not get as many penalties as they were last year. They were 117th in penalties last year, but they did have a top 5 defense and a top 2 offense in efficiencies. Keep that up. Nick Chubb and then Sony Michael are gone. 2 running backs. They should be able to replace those guys. Jake Fromm, and then they have another freshman that are like, for some reason, Jake Fromm did pretty good last year, or decent, top 80 quarterback. But if that rookie comes, or not the rookie, the freshman comes in and messes all up, maybe throw the ball a little bit more. That's all I recommend. They had a plus 23 points difference last year. They went 13-2 and got to the championship game and lost to Alabama. I think the worst record they're going to have this year is go 10-2. There's only 3 big games for them. That's it. They're in the East. SEC East. Not good. Clemson. One of the last, I don't know, probably 1 and 2 are kind of close, actually, this year. Away against Texas A&M. The Florida State game, I did not put the location. I think maybe that's a home game. I don't know. Home against NC State. Away against Florida State. Home against South Carolina at the very end of the year. Kind of a weak-ish schedule, in my opinion, just because ACC doesn't look that good regardless. They need to – I don't like the court. Kelly Bryant is their quarterback. I still don't like him. He just throws the deep ball too much. They have another freshman there. Same with Georgia going on and having that little dispute. But I still like Dabo Swinney. I feel like they're the best team in the ACC. They went 12-2 last year, but don't be surprised if they go 9-3 this year, which I have them being the worst record they get. Alabama, number 1.
No.
I don't know why I put this on there as a joke, but I put the neutral game. It's a neutral site versus Louisville. That game's going to be a blowout. Away against LSU, home against Mississippi State, home against Auburn. Again, quarterback situation. Tua, I think it's his first. I don't know how to say his last name. His last name's a cluster. Jalen Hurts is back. Personally, he should be a running back. That's just my opinion. He was actually top 80 in rushing and then also top 80 in passing last year. Dual threat kind of guy. Number 1 defense in total defense and efficiency. They'll keep that up. They lost some guys in the NFL, but they'll be fine. Damian Harrison is coming back, running back. They did lose Calvin Ridley, but they'll be able to replace him, I think. They went 13-1 last year. With that said, I think the worst record again will be what they did last year. I predicted they go 12-0, but they did go 11-1. I'm going to be on the safe side and say the worst record they're going to get is 11-1 again. And that's it. That's top 25.
All right, you ready for my top 25?
Alabama.
Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, everybody else.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I think Clemson's defense, they have like one of the best defenses this year. Alabama has a terrible situation. They have 4 guys coming back. One of the guys just got hurt on the offensive line, but they have guys to replace them. Tommy Brown, Coach Brown's son, is going to Alabama this year. He might be in the mix. I don't know. He'll be a freshman, but whoever they have, they're the most professional team out there. They can probably, if they wanted to, be able to try to compete in the NFL. That's how good this team is. But I think Clemson as well.
Could they beat the Cleveland Browns?
This year, last year for sure, I feel
Really?
like they had a good chance. My actual top 10 that I have, I don't have I feel like the preseason and top whatever rankings are stupid, but my actual top 10, 10 I have South Carolina just because like their strength of schedule and what they can do and what they have coming back. 9 I have Michigan State because it's just the way they have their schedule set up. 8 with Auburn just because they are always that weird team that just nicks Alabama, but it's a away game at Tuscaloosa for them. 7 is Miami because they have a weak schedule. 6 is Ohio State. I have them. They actually dropped down. They should probably for me. They might not even be in the top 10 soon. 5 I have Washington just because of Peterson and I love that team. 4 is Georgia, the best team in SEC East.
Georgia.
3 is Wisconsin just because they have the weakest schedule. 2 is Clemson, and then number 1 is Alabama.
Hey.
And those are like the top 10 to where like the college football playoff is what I mean. Quick note, Teams to watch. I think South Carolina is just going to be interesting, like I said. Boise State, because they're the most entertaining team ever.
That's biased.
And it's my team. UCLA at the end of the year with Chip Kelly. Players to watch from specific teams. Houston's Ed Oliver, who might be a potential top 5 pick next year. Boston College's running back A.J. Dillon, another great running back, might be the best running back in college football. NC State's quarterback Ryan Finley, that's why I have NC State so high or into those notable games, just because he's a great quarterback. Might be another number 1 quarterback for this upcoming draft. Kansas State, because of their schedule, see if they do well. Same thing with Mississippi State, see if they do well. Just see if they can sneak in there. If they can stay alive, they can sneak in. And last one is Arizona State. Herm Edwards is back in football at Arizona State. See what we can do. He has a couple of returning players over there as well. That's it. College football done. We're good. That took a lot of research, actually. Jesus.
It sounded like it took a lot of research.
It did. Somewhat. Oh, how much time are we on this? You want to keep going?
Well, I mean, we have one more segment to get to. And another show after this. So
I'm okay. I can reschedule
cool.
my DoorDash stuff, so we're good. Let's keep going.
Oh, is it really that late?
Yeah, we're fine. I can reschedule.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's do it. I guess I was ill prepared. So we're gonna move into our Pennsylvania Avenue section of the podcast. I'm gonna pull up the This Week in History. So we're gonna be covering Sunday the 12th. Today's the 20th. Yeah, Sunday the 12th through Saturday the 18th.
History.
Yeah.
Get it, girl.
And okay, there we go. It updated itself. All right.
It says you're in the.
That's because I'm there.
I know, but it's cool. That's cool. I like the Google Docs we have.
All right. Are you ready?
History, guys.
Are you ready?
You need to learn. Let's learn together.
Let's learn what happened in the past. August 12th. I don't know why I put this year's date on there, but whatever. August 12th, 1781. I put 2018 for each one of these. August 12th, 1781. Robert Mills, the architect of the Washington Monument, located in Washington, D.C., is born.
Located in the Washington Mall. Right?
Did you know? No, it's just the mall. The National Mall.
Never mind.
Good try, though. One interesting thing really quick. I know we're this is super long, but whatever at this point.
Dude?
All right. I forget the monetary value of it, but at one point, the top of the Washington Monument is actually aluminum. And when the Washington Monument was built, aluminum was actually a rare metal because it couldn't. Aluminum today is made not synthetically, but the process is a lot different.
Yeah.
And before it had to be basically mined purely.
Yeah. Technology, dog.
But at the time, aluminum was a very valuable metal because it was rare.
What do they make the Captain American shield?
Vibranium.
It was vibranium,
yeah,
bro.
Basically, yeah. So the very tippy top of the Washington Monument is an aluminum pyramid on the tip, and that was this amazing thing that was super rare that they had this much aluminum.
If you want to see a close up of the Washington Monument,
watch
Spider-Man.
You're not wrong. All right. Speaking of precious metals, 1896, gold is discovered near Dawson City in the Yukon Territory in Canada. Sparking, obviously, another gold rush. August 12th, 1908, Henry Ford's first Model T rolls off the assembly line. August 12th, 1935.
Also, the Dodge brothers worked on that. Whatever.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay. 1935, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signs the Social Security Bill.
Thank you.
1961, construction on the Berlin Wall begins, separating, obviously, East and West Berlin. And really when the Cold War started to get going, for real.
For realsies.
August 12th, 1981, IBM introduced their first personal computer. And August 12th, 1992, the North American Free Trade Agreement, otherwise known as NAFTA, was signed, creating the world's wealthiest trading bloc between the United States, Mexico, and Canada.
Clinton would have been president by then, right?
Yes.
He would have got inaugurated.
He would have been inaugurated in 93.
Yeah. So it was
Bush. I think that's right.
You son of a... You guys lied to it. No, it's not.
I think that's right.
Everyone keeps on saying it's Clinton.
Because
Bush, that race was in 92.
W. Bush was elected in the 2000 election.
Yeah, I'm talking about...
So he would have been inaugurated in 2001, which means Clinton would have been inaugurated in 93 because it had to be 8 years difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Math. Quick math. August 13th, only a couple really interesting things, at least in my opinion. August 13th, 1889. I'm sorry if I skipped something that you deem really important. The first coin-operated telephone is patented by William Gray. In case you didn't know, there are still some places, these things where you put money in and you get to make a phone call for a certain period of time.
I always like watching older movies with my nieces and nephews, and I watched one with Anthony and Alina one time when I was watching them, and we watched, I forgot what it was, and they had a telephone where the guy picked up like an old what do you call them?
Payphone?
Yeah, payphone. There you go.
Oh.
Jesus, because I don't use that term anymore. No one uses it. But like, and he was like, "What was that?" It was like, I told him like straight up, it's a cell phone that's in the ground that you can only use right there. He's like,
you can't take it with you.
What? Yeah, he went mad. I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's even now, it's one of those that you see one, you're like, oh. I think really probably the only places, I think they're still in airports. Because there's like a wall that has like a line of telephones.
Well, that makes sense though. That one makes sense. There, just in case because like a lot of people's phones get lost or stolen.
Yeah.
I had a show up in Southgate, and it was like in this industrial area, and like it had like this little mom and pop shop, and like there's a phone right there, and I was like, but it didn't work.
Oh, dust. All right. August 13th, 1898, Manila, the capital of the Philippines, is captured by the U.S. Army. This would have been during the Spanish-American War. Yeah,
because I think we brought it up 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, about the Spanish-American War breaking out.
Yeah. August 14th, 1457. I put this in here just because I thought it was really funny. The first book ever printed is published, and the author was thrown in prison in Paris for dealing with the devil because the authorities did not know how he got his hands on more than one copy, like so many copies of the same book.
Yeah, because back then it was
like hand copied.
So much time.
Yeah.
I listened to Ties of History, and they talk about the printing press and how evolutionary it was. The printing press back then is like us and smartphones, basically.
Probably, at least. Yeah.
Like that kind of like how quick it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how it impacted everything.
August 14th, 1945. Big time jump here.
Oh, one more thing. Also, literacy went up by a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. August 14th, 1945. Japan announces unconditional surrender, ending World War II.
Yeah, last week we said both
the
Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombs got dropped. And then we went over that. We had a little discussion. We don't need to have one for this one because we already talked about it. Go listen to the last podcast in the history if you want. That.
So that took place on the deck of the USS Missouri. One of the things that I've always liked about, I don't know, have you ever been to Pearl Harbor?
I've not been to Pearl Harbor.
Okay, well, one of the interesting things that's there, at least from my point of view, is that like the Arizona is there, sunk in the harbor, obviously, like, and that's kind of a embodiment of the war beginning, and then docked in Pearl Harbor is the USS Missouri, where like the treaties were signed, like ending World War II. So it's like the beginning and the end of World War II are both like right there.
Yeah, it was MacArthur, and I forgot the Japanese guy that was there, right? The general, I forgot his name.
Tojo? One of those? I forget.
They always have those entertaining names for their generals.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
August... Wait, did I skip one? I did.
No.
Yeah, I did. August 14th, 1947, Pakistan gained its independence.
No, we didn't do that one yet. But yeah, go ahead. 15th.
Well, I was about to jump to the 15th. That's why I said, okay, whatever. August 15th, 1261, Constantinople falls to Michael VIII of... Is it Nicaea or Nicaea? I wasn't actually too familiar with this one. I'm assuming that this is the end of the Eastern Roman Empire.
I think this is this is when the Ottomans...
Yeah.
No, this is too early for Ottomans.
Is it? I don't know. The Ottoman Empire was around for a while.
It was around for a while, but I feel like it was like more of the... Because the Byzantines went pretty far into the Middle Ages.
Okay.
So this must have been like
I should have looked this one up.
Because like there's definitely been barbarian tribes that have taken over. So maybe that's like a related barbarian tribe. I don't know.
Not sure.
Because
should have done my research.
There's also Roman like generals that took over all the time. Like they're like
all
like you saw in like Gladiator how like he had the army there, and if he wanted to, you could have taken over Rome. So there's a lot of those situations happen.
August 15th, 1769, Napoleon Bonaparte is born. Thank you for selling us a third of our country.
Bonaparte was his last name was Bonaparte because he was from Corsica.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, because he was obviously born in Corsica. Corsica was a territory that was belonging to the Italians for a long time. So it's like he didn't change his name until he got married the first time. So
interesting.
Because his dad Carlo Bonaparte, and then he was really close, and then that's how it's a long story for Napoleon, but yeah, that was his original name or original last name.
Oh, pronunciation. Yeah. August 15th, 1914, the Panama Canal opens to traffic. Probably underrated as a important thing is the Panama Canal, like saving people a bunch of time, not having to sail all the way around South America.
I would even say it's like a modern wonder, like up there.
Yeah, sure.
For this 20th century, at least.
Yeah. August 15th, 1947, Britain grants independence to India.
Good job, Gandhi.
Yeah, I guess
Shout out
so.
to Gandhi.
The sun truly did set on the British Empire after that day. August 16th is pretty boring, turns out, so I completely skipped it.
I could probably find a birthday.
Good luck with that. August 17th. I guess we'll circle back around if you find anything interesting. August 17th, 1786, Davy Crockett is born. Famous frontiersman, was killed at the Alamo.
Yes.
All right, you found something for August 16th?
Elvis Presley was pronounced dead at Memphis Baptist Hospital at 3:30 at age 42. There's a couple other battles.
I always thought he was younger than that when he died.
No, 42 is somewhat young-ish. He fought in the Korean War? He got drafted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Korean War, yeah.
August 17th, 1945, Indonesia declares independence following confirmation of Japan's surrender.
Oh, also one thing about David Crockett, he served under Andrew Jackson. But go ahead, sorry.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, during the War of 1812, he must have been like a really, really young for all.
Well, he would have been like almost 30, so.
Oh, wait, yeah, never mind. 1786, yeah, he served under, for sure. He was like a lieutenant.
Oh, cool. I did not know that. Was he at the Battle of New Orleans?
I have to double check that, but he might have been. Yeah, because he talked about he had a report on Andrew Jackson's martial law and like how it was out of line. And
dang.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1945. Indonesia declaring independence, getting out from obviously once Japan surrendered, they were didn't have anyone oppressing them anymore. I guess is the right word.
Yeah, it seems a lot of territories from Europeans and just Japan in general, that took over territories in Southeast Asia were given up. I think besides the Vietnam Peninsula, whatever peninsula that is.
Yeah. August 17th, 1960, Francis Gary Powers pleads guilty to espionage in Moscow. Francis Gary Powers, if I remember correctly, is the man who was shot down flying a U-2 over the Soviet Union.
He was tried for espionage?
Well, yeah, he was taking pictures of the Soviet Union with his plane.
I get. Okay. Well, espionage for me is someone that's actually in there, but not
What else are they going to charge him with? Flying?
I know, but I meant it just
to the gulag, you pilot. He's a pilot. Send him to the gulag.
No, it's just weird because I feel when I think of what someone doing is espionage, it's actually there, not there for
He was spying on them with his plane.
I know, but it feels weird. I don't know.
All right, well, whatever.
Sorry.
He got shot down.
Isn't that a Call of Duty mission in Call of Duty Black Ops?
You do take pictures with I think that's a SR-71 though, which came after the U-2.
It's a Transformer.
Yeah. It's a Decepticon. August 18th, our final day for this week. 1587, Eleanor and I practiced this before we started. Ananias, I believe is what we came up with. Ananias Dare.
That is a male name.
Yeah, apparently.
Or maybe Eleanor is the...
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm honestly not really sure. Eleanor and Ananias Dare residents of
Da. No, it's kidding.
of the Roanoke. They were residents of the Roanoke colony. They became parents to the first child, at least recorded, to have been born in the New World in America, Virginia Dare. Just kind of an interesting little historical tidbit.
The next point is not very good for Virginia
3 years later, after returning home from a trip to England, John White, the leader of said Roanoke colony, returns to find the colony deserted with no trace of the settlers ever found. Probably one of the bigger mysteries and conspiracy things in that time period.
I feel like a lot of those colonial groups or whatever you want to call them, like they came up, there's a lot of them that like weren't recorded and also like went missing. So there's a lot of like unmarked graves all over the place.
Probably
on the East Coast.
Yeah. I don't know. We might not ever know what happened there. I think if I remember correctly, there's stories of like there was like something written on like a tree stump or something like that. But that was like really about it. And they think that like maybe they were like captured or killed by Native Americans.
Yeah. Well, I would think like maybe even like it would be cool like that Virginia Dare like grew up in that native tribe or something like that, and like no one knew.
George Washington's great grandmother, and no one ever knew.
Yeah.
America. August 18th, 1914, Germany declares war on Russia following an announcement by President Woodrow Wilson declaring the United States neutrality in World War I. That didn't last too long. That neutrality.
3 years?
Yeah. 2.5, 3 years.
Thanks, Francis Ferdinand.
August 18th, 1920, Tennessee becomes the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment, meeting that 3/4 threshold for passing new amendments under the Constitution, and that gives women the right to vote.
I think one of the stupidest jokes out there, but like I don't know why I laugh at it because it's so bad. It was like a joke back in high school where someone said like,
I know where this is going.
You know what I'm saying, though,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah, like that joke is
Want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
Women's rights.
Yeah, that's so bad. But like, I'm like, why is this so like? I don't know why in my head like I laugh at it. It's like, this is like the most messed up thing though. Like one of the most.
It's up there for sure.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Last but not least, well, actually maybe least. Some of these are actually kind of big historical things. August 18th, 1939, a little known film titled The Wizard of Oz debuts in New York City.
Oh, what a nice way to put that.
And they followed the Yellow Brick Road all the way into American popular culture.
Yeah, still like one of the most. I would say probably one of the most watched movies of all time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Also, like the quality of that movie stands up, and like I hate that is.
Have you ever watched it in black and white?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So I'm sure that there are very many people alive that have never seen that movie in black and white.
Yeah, because like they didn't. It was
How
years.
do you know the road is yellow?
It was weird. It was years later when they actually put it in color. It wasn't like it was like way.
I feel like it was in our lifetime that they put it in color.
I remember. I hated watching like there was like a thing of like the Three Stooges in color, and I was like, this
why
doesn't feel right. It felt terrible. Like it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
1939.
Well, that was our week in history. Jacob read it this time because he reads better than me. And like I guess you just wanted to do it. That's fine.
Well, you were looking something else up, so I just pulled it up.
Okay, that's fine. But regardless, it's our week in history. Let us know. There's stuff on the 16th that we did miss, but it's okay. Let us know.
No,
look some stuff up.
There's nothing on the 16th. I missed nothing.
Look up other stuff on the 16th and let us know what we missed.
Nothing.
And other interesting facts to add on. Communicate in the comments. Let's have some fun. Woo! That was one step to our boring segment of the show, apparently. Because no one likes history, apparently, right? I hated those kids in high school. Like, why do we need to learn history?
All those AP Euro people.
Yeah, them too.
Looking at you, Daniel Lindbergh.
Who is going to be a guest on the show eventually. Let's keep moving. A lot of stuff happened in the news since we've gone, since last week. I think a lot of the stuff broke while we recorded and like distributed the podcast as well. The Vatican, you had some stats or the Vatican issue, and then with the Pennsylvania certain community. I listened to Ben Shapiro. You talked about it specifically, but you had some like numbers that you pulled up.
Yeah. So basically, what's happened is the Vatican has had to issue a state. There's supposedly evidence and allegations that 300 or more Catholic priests in the state of Pennsylvania have had sexual abuse allegations brought against them with minors, with children. So the Vatican has had to issue a bunch of public statements. Obviously, what was really weird to me in what they said was that they were talking about, obviously, that something like this should never happen, but that they were going to be evaluating basically whether or not like any of those people could be brought could be rehabilitated and then like brought back. It was kind of weird the way that they approached it.
The way they went through like a nice kind of statement.
Yeah.
Really optimistic.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. This is a problem that's plagued, I guess maybe it's probably just more reported in the I would guess that it's more reported in the Catholic Church, but I would say that it's a problem that's plagued specifically the Catholic Church.
Well, similar to like what happened in Boston with all that stuff like a decade ago. I think a lot of this stuff was going on through that same exact timeline too. So this has been going back to like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, it's a really long period of time. They estimate it's like thousands of children. Yeah. Over like a really long period of time. So it obviously 100% terrible anytime you hear about anything like this. I don't know. It always surprises me that people like this make it that far through like seminary or like anything like that without.
Well, some of the reports and how they described how they got away with it, like they would take a boy, do whatever, the terrible thing they did to him, but then they would mark him by giving him a cross they would wear. Like they give him a specific cross, and then other clergymen or whatever priest or whatnot would know that that kid's been like not trained, but like know that kid has been he's open game basically, which is terrible. But another thing too, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that like it's like not just necessarily like like there are a lot of people complicit in order for something like this to go on for so long. Is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, because like you had like the Penn State issue with
Jerry Sandusky. Yeah.
A lot of people just looking the other way, and the same thing with the Me Too movement. A lot of people looking away. It just the thing I don't like about it is the way that now people are perceiving like a certain group of people, and like when you look at like now like Catholic Church, they're probably molesting someone in that church. That might be the initial thought, obviously, but I don't like it. Even goes into like the IGN thing, to where like now IGN has to like look at everything they do, and like a lot of people are commenting on things that one editor wasn't even a part of, and saying like, where did you guys steal this from now? So it's like that image of like it does tarnish the Catholic Church, obviously. Yeah,
it creates assumptions basically. Yeah. Of the behavior of everyone based on the actions of. While this sounds to be fairly widespread, probably one of the more widespread like single cases that I at least can remember in my 24 years.
Yeah, I think the only other one that stacks up to it is the one they had in Boston. They had that movie with Mark Ruffalo, and I forgot what it's called. They had Mark Ruffalo and the guy that played Birdman.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and like that whole Boston Globe kind of situation there.
Yeah. But so it seems to be even though it seems to be one of the more widespread cases. It's obviously not at all necessarily reflective of
the Catholic
Church as a whole. Yeah. But
it's
always like unfortunate to hear things like this happening.
Stuff is terrible. Like when people are in power and they see someone vulnerable and they take advantage of that. That's not cool.
Especially from someone who is like in the position that they are in, like over children like that. Like someone that most of the time those children are like looking like they are the role model for like all of those children.
And like they don't know any better or what's right or what's wrong, which is like the most messed up part about it.
Yeah. So I'm sure over the next many weeks and months there'll be arrests and trials and such, and we'll have more details
I think
as to like what exactly was happening.
Since a lot of the stuff is broken, a lot of like, you know, those like weird videos, you know, like not beheading videos, but like stuff like that where they like whip like a guy that molested like a girl or something like that to death. Like, so a lot of those have been like coming up or popping back up too since this incident. So it's like kind of weird how like the reactions are going. For me, yes, like you want to kill this person that does this to kids, but you have to give them like, you know, due process in a way as well. That's why we're a civilized world. So, you know, I would rather have them be put on trial and then sentenced to what they deserve. You know what I mean? I would like to be a vigilante and go and, you know, do my own. I think a lot of people would, you know, think to them, because I think it's really terrible. Because I had a relative that's happened to her when she was younger, so it's like very close to, or I have a lot more.
Like a more personal connection to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we said, we'll find out probably more about the extent to which this was happening in the Pennsylvania area over the next few weeks. But moving on to something, I guess, a little bit more different, more political.
I think this is a little bit more funnier, obviously, but I think it's like part of the Donald Trump trolls.
So I guess over the last couple weeks, Omarosa Manigault has risen back to the public spotlight, I'll say. And she's claiming that she has all these tapes that would be incriminating towards Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Basically, from what she said, she basically spent all of her time as an employee in the White House
just
recording conversations, recording the goings on in the Situation Room in the White House, which can't be legal. I don't know if she's going to end up I know Ben Shapiro said that like it's unlikely she's going to be arrested or spend any time in prison, but I can't imagine what she was doing was legal. I guess I don't know if Washington D.C. is like a double consent or whatever it's called, where it's like you have to tell the person you're recording or not. But anyway, yeah. So she claims she has. I guess the most. I don't know what the right word is. Infamous one is that. So she supposedly has a tape of. Donald Trump saying the N-word. Yeah. Which I don't know why you would not just release that one right away.
That one would
if
make
that one
you
existed,
more credible and more to the point and more definitive on like what you're saying is right or it's true.
Yeah.
But like that, she has that in her back. Like, why would she have that? Like, that should be like the first one, and then
like, why are you still holding on to that?
I think there's another. There was another report of a past. What was the show that he had?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. There was guys that have been on there that he said stuff like this. But I'm like, if he said that stuff, then like, why isn't that out? Well, wasn't that out before the election as well? It's just speculation. That's for me. I'm like, wait, if you want to get Donald Trump gone, like, put that out. If you don't have it, then she obviously doesn't have anything. It looks like.
I don't understand why you don't just release it. And I think everyone's looking to her now to. Like, be the person, like, for the 15,000th time. Like, oh, this is going to be the thing that brings down Donald Trump. And it turns out to be basically nothing.
Publicity, getting, like, a book deal or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. None of the tapes that she's released so far have been anything of importance. I think she's released 3 of, like, various... one of them was, like, a conversation with the Secretary of State, whose name... Fired. Yeah, so she gets fired. Basically, at this point, she's just a disgruntled former employee. She gets fired. Then she has another tape of her talking to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump says basically, like, I didn't know you were going to get fired. Oh, John Kelly is the guy's name that fired her. And then she has a third tape with someone in the Trump family.
Tiffany Trump?
Yeah, I don't remember the relation.
Is that his daughter?
Maybe daughter-in-law.
I'll do a double check. Keep talking.
So it has a tape with her talking or discussing like a payment of some kind. Oh, it was another employment. The conversation was her like talking about the amount of money that Omarosa was making while she was working at the White House, and like they would be able to match that. It was like $180,000, something like that. They were talking about in that. So basically nothing that she's put out has been anything surprising or anything incriminating to anyone in the Trump administration.
Yeah, it's his daughter. She's our
daughter.
age.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. And this kind of ties into our last little bullet point, and that's the situation surrounding the former head of the CIA, John Brennan. There's been a lot of controversy over the last couple weeks, because I guess maybe it's only been about a week or so now. Donald Trump removed John Brennan's security clearance, and a lot of people are up in arms about that in general. Personally, I don't really think it's that big of a deal at all. I don't understand why he still even has one. If you're not employed, I guess, and what I've learned from that point is that I guess sometimes people hold on to it for a long period of time and they're brought back in for their opinion on
certain issues.
They might
have an expertise in.
But I don't understand why you can't take their security clearance and, like, if you need their opinion on something else, like, read them into whatever is happening.
Well, I think that might be the thing, though. I think the security clearance probably has like what they say, like, you can't say stuff that's on there, like that's probably part of the clear security clearance is like saying what it's going to be said.
Yeah,
to be more,
I guess,
confidential.
So the Trump administration issued a statement regarding John Brennan, basically that it was basically conduct detrimental to the administration is basically why his security clearance was revoked. He's been accused of leaking information to the press that was acquired with his security clearance. And now basically he's a full-time pundit on CNN, sharing information that he was getting from his security clearance to, like, make some to speak on issues on CNN and stuff like that. They would have him on. So it's obviously you're not supposed to be sharing that classified information, and in the case of Omarosa Manigault, you're not supposed to be recording that private information.
Well, I think another thing is, like, a lot of people are using this to, like, gain, like, profit in a way, because, like, John Brennan's making money,
they're making careers out of it,
yeah,
and, like, book deals and stuff like that.
So it's like that's like the part I don't like. I agree with, when you're let go as an employee, yes, you shouldn't, and you should be reprocessed basically when you come back, or if your opinion is coming back, right, or they want your opinion on certain situations or issues or expertise. Omarosa is just a joke. Like, just like, what is she, first off, she shouldn't have been hired in the first place.
Correct.
Also, how the hell did she get a recorder in there so well? Like,
what is security doing?
I know what is going on with the White House security. Jesus. Other than that, like, that one's more of a joke for me. The John Brennan one is more reasonable, but Trump basically put all the people that he doesn't like on that, like, security list, and, like, those are just people he doesn't agree with, I guess. That's what you see a lot of.
Some of them for sure. Yeah.
I think the way he did it, the numbers he did, maybe if he gradually got rid of one by one, then it would have gotten a little bit more unnoticed or as much of a headline. But I think since he did it almost all at once, you're kind of like, wait, what is he doing? And that's just, like, another thing that people are, like, looking at, like, what? Also, like, why? Like, I've seen the argument where why would people want the expertise of these past administrations? Or the excuse, like, oh, well, they can ask them a certain question for something. I'm like, well, why would they do that in the first place if they didn't want to?
Why were they fired? Or, like,
why?
Well, I guess you could have a situation where, like, someone retired, there was an expert in a particular thing. I guess how I would probably handle it is I would have, like, a different, say, for example, John Brennan was, like, the top spy. Like, he was head of the CIA. So you have, like, an A-level clearance. Now, this is obviously an oversimplification, I'm sure, but, like, you have, like, A, B, C levels of clearance, and then, like, a D, or, like, a not even D, like a level
Z.
Yeah, sure, level Z level clearance that's specifically for people who, like, they don't have access to the day-to-day, but they have the approval necessary to be read in and to, like, be updated on something if they're needed. Like, so they can't see the day-to-day files and ongoings of the CIA, but if they're ever needed, they already have their approval to, like, come in and someone to consult them on a certain thing. Like, I don't understand why it can't, like, that seems really simple to me. I don't understand why.
Well, I
that
mean,
can't be the case.
John Brennan specifically, he's obviously been using this and been able to he's just using it to make a career out of it.
Well, yeah, he is now. Yeah, but I mean, just in general, like,
but
if
now
someone,
since he's done that, so all it is he's gonna be part of that headline, and the next week someone might ask him for his opinion, but like he's not gonna have the access. So
Yeah.
he's a little bit more irrelevant after this.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, little
Yeah.
quick update, I guess, some current events.
Quick updates. Update on Movie Pass.
Oh yeah,
quick.
it's circling the toilet, man.
Just a real quick update. This is our last minute updates from our previous videos.
Let me just look real quick at my movies.
Go ahead. Was there an update? What was our big story?
Well, we talked about how it was cutting down to 3 movies.
3 movies, but it's now 2 movies a week. No, 2 specific movies
at any given time.
at any given time. So that's like a more unreasonable. If you didn't watch our Movie Pass episode, or I did a clip, and then it's in the last podcast. You can watch the clip on YouTube. We talked about that, and then now there's an update since we've released that. Another update. So they've updated like almost 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah. Yeah, since we recorded, it's been quite a few changes. Yeah.
So it's not looking great.
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna pull up the specifics.
Yeah. So I have my Movie Pass app open right now, and so the 2 movie thing, for example. So there are on this list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different movies, but only 2. So like I can go see Mile 22, or I can go see The Meg, and I can nothing else.
Okay.
And that's for Century Stadium, AMC. Also, just I can see Mile 22, The Meg, or The Miseducation of Cameron Post. And then nothing else. So it's super frustrating. We're starting to get into the time of year where like some of the bigger, like more Oscar-worthy movies are going to be coming out. Like I've heard really good things about a movie called The Wife that came out recently, with Glenn Close in it.
I'll have to check the trailer out.
So anyway, it's just like you're not able to plan to go to the movies at all because like you never know what you're going to have access to. It's just really frustrating. It's really nice that like the fees are gone and like it went back down to $10 a month and all those things, but like it seems to be the digger you deep. The further you dig into this, the more there are strings attached.
Yeah,
that's what it seems.
Yeah,
it's just really frustrating.
We're starting to become Pinocchio.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's our Movie Pass update. One more update on the IGN story that we did last week as well. Philip Minuchin has also come out that he's plagiarized more reviews. I think it was a FIFA review, and then there was something else in there. So there's been more. So it's like that's what I'm saying with the IGN thing, like looking bad now. It's like more specifically, it's all him. They'll probably look into like other editors, but I'm pretty sure that all the other editors are a lot more honorable. But yeah, that's an update to him. See what else comes out. Kotaku has been updating, so I would go to Kotaku for Jason Schreier, right?
Yeah.
For all those kind of updates. Any other updates that I can think of?
I don't think so.
There was what was our big story that we did last week?
The update we did, I think last week, wasn't that Chris Hardwick?
No, but we did a story last week. What was the story? The big one.
Oh, let me tell you. We did the InfoWars ban.
There's no update for that at the moment.
We did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's always updating stuff, but I don't have anything.
Apparently, she got roasted by Jake Tapper the other night.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah. I posted it on Facebook because I have a lot of leftist people, socialist people on my friends list on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently, she got fact checked by Jake Tapper, and it did not go well.
It was Jake Tapper from CNN.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's been it, sir.
This was probably our longest episode.
Definitely our longest, regardless. We are going to have to do another episode of something else right now, but that's fine. Are you good to do another one?
Yeah. Let's power through.
That has been the Jacob and Me radio not radio. That's been the Jacob and Me
turn into AM 1170
show. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube and the clips, they're there on YouTube. Just go to College Avenue, and they'll be right there for you. We are also on iTunes now. Woo! Soon to be on Google Play. We're always on SoundCloud, and all those episodes are all up. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating, please, or the like and share us. If you're watching us right now and you're looking at us on the faces on YouTube, Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the College Avenue channel. Go and check out all the other things we do. Like the next show we're going to do right now after this is Across the Pond. And we are also going to have some new stuff coming out. College Avenue After Hours. It's going to be some sick stuff. Sick tricks. But yes, go ahead and do that. Thank you guys very much for watching. I've been Richard Rodillo.
I am Jacob Lloyd.
And we'll see you guys next time on this, whatever this is. Yeah. Bye.